The Mets and Phillies found themselves underwater last night, unable to play baseball in New York. Mets are looking for a liberty from a long home losing streak as they stay in New York and continue their homestand tonight at Citi Field. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Philadelphia Phillies. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. I'm Gary Cohen. Keith Hernandez and Ron Darling join me in just a moment as the Mets played the middle game of their three-game series against the Phillies after a washout last night. Matt Harvey will take the mound for the Mets tonight. Matt joined the Mets less than 2 months ago, but in a very short period of time has established himself as a potential frontline Major League starter.
You know, it was interesting hearing all the reports from the minor leagues this year. You're saying to yourself, well, maybe he's a number 2 or a number 3 or a number 4. But then when you saw him in his first start in Arizona, his stuff was as electric as you've ever seen. He had the ability to throw the ball right past major league hitters. He had a breaking pitch that was number 1, not even catchable by the catcher. And I think what we've seen now since then, this will be his 10th start. We've seen a maturity. We've seen a way to deal with adversity when people are on base. We've seen him get tougher when he has to try to limit the opposition. And we've seen him just mature even in just 9 starts as a major league pitcher.
And tonight will be Harvey's final start of this season. He'll be shut down after the game tonight as he will reach his innings limit. But the Mets have been very impressed with what they've seen so far. On the other side for the Phillies tonight, Cole Hamels tries to keep the Phillies' slim playoff hopes alive. He's been very hot coming down the stretch.
He really has, and they've signed a big contract that has not affected him. You see what his numbers are in his last 7 starts, and really he's one of the cornerstones for these Philadelphia Phillies as they move along.
And as for those Phillies, 14 games to play in the season. They're 4 games back with a lot of traffic ahead of them in the wild card race, but they're still alive.
Well, they're at 500 right now. Let's remember, they started the season the whole first half without their 2 big guns, Utley and Howard. Well, they've returned. Utley came back first. They went 1-9 with him, but since Howard's come back, they've gone 37-26. Now, there's 4 teams ahead of him in the wild card. You can see right there. They pretty much got to run the table. They leave New York. They got 3 at home with Atlanta. Then they got to go to Washington and play Washington. They're going to have to beat them straight up. I'm looking, they're going to have to sweep them.
So it's the Mets and Phillies tonight. Mets trying to put a further crimp in the Phillies' playoff hopes. Matt Harvey makes his final appearance of his rookie season. Come on back. All the action tonight right here on SNY. Dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. By Geico. By Bank of America. By Nissan. Save big at Nissan's Bottom Line Sales Event ends October 1st. Visit choosenissan.com or your local dealer. By Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. And by your Tri-State Kia retailers. Visit tristatekiadealers.com today. Get to Citi Field for 50% off tickets with your Pepsi can. On game day, exchange the can at the Citi Field box office to save 50% on 2 tickets. Visit Mets.com/Pepsi can for more details. Here's your Subway Mets upcoming schedule. You can listen to all Mets games on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. The rescheduled game tomorrow night after last night's rainout will conclude this series. Then the Mets and Marlins play 3 over the weekend. And the still alive Pirates come in for 4 games starting on Monday night, wrapping up the home portion of the Mets schedule. Mets will finish the season in Atlanta and Miami. Cole Hamels bidding for his 16th win tonight as he takes on Matt Harvey and the Mets. First pitch from Citi Field is coming right up. Just go to SNY.TV, click on the link, and join the conversation. It's Chat Live with Bob Ojeda, presented by Verizon. Tonight, starting in the 3rd inning, only on SNY.TV. Here's your Hyundai starting lineup for the Phillies. Juan Pierre gets a start in left field tonight. Otherwise, the same unit that Charlie Manuel ran out there in the first game of this series when the Phillies beat R.A. Dickey and the Mets 3-1.
Well, the numbers on Matt Harvey this season brought to you by Caesars Atlantic City. Well, he can throw out that win-loss record. It should be probably upside down, 5-3 the way he's pitched. Comes off a tough start against the Nationals and making its 10th and last start of the season.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the Lexus Metropolitan defense. And we're going to highlight the Mets' third baseman, David Wright. You see his fielding percentage. We've been raving about his defense. And with Tejada there at shortstop, that's a pretty solid defensive left side of that infield. Duda in left now, off of first base. Davis back in the lineup against the left-hander.
Harrison, of course, in right field. Torres has been a fixture out in center. There's a good man right there.
Charlie Manuel, in his 8th year as Phillies skipper, spent the last 5 as the National League East champion, and hoping to defy the odds and come from way back in the wild card race this year. The Phillies at 500 for the season.
Just saying, the open, Keith, they have to really run the table, don't they? To get back in 12-2, 11-3, something like that. You got to get to 87 or 88 to have a chance.
Well, they got the Braves and the Nationals coming up at home. And Gary made a good point earlier about in our conversations that they're playing both those teams that have pretty much wrapped up.
Yeah.
Nationals have wrapped up their division. The Braves are a lock for the wild card. And they may catch them in not such an aggressive position, so they might be able to take advantage of that. But still, to take 6 in a row from those two teams is going to be tough.
Jimmy Rollins leads things off for the Phillies. Rollins delivered the key blow in the Phillies' victory on Monday night with a home run off Dickey, and he fouls off the first pitch he sees from Harvey. Rollins now with 6 home runs in September of the 21 that he's hit this year. And only Adam LaRoche and his second base counterpart in Milwaukee, Ricky Weeks, have hit more.
Well, I'll tell you what, Adam LaRoche has had himself a great year.
And Harvey fires a fastball at 97 outside, a ball and a strike. Matt making his 10th start, 3-5. His last start against Washington, he struck out 10 batters in 5 innings, allowed just 1 run, but that was enough to beat him. With the Mets not scoring at all here at Citi Field, Harvey lost that start 2-0. In fact, he's lost his last 2 starts. His last victory came against the Phillies. That was in Philadelphia on August 29th. A 3-2 win. And Bob Davidson behind the plate with a rather small strike zone. It's 3-1 to Rollins.
Jimmy Rollins just loves hitting at this ballpark, as you see. Terry Collins with Wally Backman.
Last 2 years, Rollins hitting .397 at Citi Field. And he hits this one deep to right field, chasing Hairston back. Right back at the wall, and it's off the top, and it's out of here. Another home run for Jimmy Rollins, another one that just clears the right field wall. His 7th in September, his 22nd of the year, and the Phillies, just like that, have a 1-0 lead. Well, this was Monday's home run by Rollins, which needed review before being ruled a home run.
There's Tom Gorman making the call.
And this was the other home run Monday night by Dominic Brown that just cleared that right field fence. Juan Pierre takes a strike, and then tonight's home run.
God, it's like a nightmare. Groundhog Day. That just barely got over.
We always talk about the small ballpark as you see it go over into the netting and kind of caroming back over to that little fence, that little wall over the bullpen.
For Rollins, his 33rd career leadoff home run and his 6th this season amongst his 22 home runs. For Matt Harvey, only the 5th home run he's allowed in 52+ innings of work this year. Pierre having a nice year, hitting at .312, the major's leading active base stealer. And he's got 35 stolen bases this year, so he has had a very Juan Pierre kind of a year. Well, there's your Coors Light freeze cap.
When you look at his glove, got caught under that padding there. It wouldn't have made a difference.
I don't think he would have been able to reach that.
No, I don't think Andre the Giant would have had a chance.
Well, Andre didn't have a lot of ups.
He might have run through the wall, though, and catch it. We always kid the Rollins and the Phillies are playing in a small ballpark, hitting all those home runs. They seem to have no problem hitting them here.
Well, all 3 of those home runs in this series would not have been home runs last year at Citi Field, as Murphy throws out Pierre for the first out of the game. So the Mets reconfigured the dimensions. They've been pretty even this year on how that reconfiguration has helped and hurt them. But 3 by the Phillies in this series, all of which would have been in play last year. Here's Chase Utley, 2 for 3 on Monday night. Utley hitting at .259, 10 home runs. Just 251 at bats since being activated in late June. We talked about the Phillies having a lot of traffic in front of them in the wild card race. They need everybody in front of them to lose. They just got a little help as the Nats beat the Dodgers in the first of a doubleheader 3-1. So the Dodgers now slip to 2 games behind the Cardinals and 2 games in front of the Phillies. And Utley gets under one to right center. This one's playable for Hairston. And that's the second out. Dodgers and Nats playing a doubleheader. They got rained out last night as well. Meanwhile, Milwaukee, which moved in front of Pittsburgh in the standings by shutting out the Pirates last night, an early lead on a Nori Aoki home run.
Did you see they took James McDonald, their first half pitcher, who was fantastic, out of the rotation?
Instead, they have Kyle McPherson starting that game tonight, and he gave up a home run to the first man he faced. So 2 out, and here's Ryan Howard, who was 0 for 4 on Monday night and just not looking himself right now. Howard hitting at .225 with 10 home runs.
Well, we talked in the open about how the Phillies have played since they've gotten Howard back, and that is 11 games over 500, 37 and 26. But Howard hasn't really been hitting, as you can see right there in September in particular. And it just looks like his Achilles tendon, where he had the problem, the surgery, serious injury, obviously. It just doesn't look like he's generating any kind of power off of his back leg. Now it's his left Achilles, so that's a very important, the most important foot if you're a left-hand hitter. It's the foot you drive off of.
Carlos Ruiz would be next. Well, it's to the point where Charlie Manuel said if the Phillies fall out of the race, he'll probably shut down Howard for the rest of the year. So you know it's an issue.
You know, the Brewers right now, with the Dodgers losing, now have put they could leapfrog the Dodgers, and we only have one team ahead of them, and that would be the Cardinals.
If the Dodgers lose both games today.
Right, and they embark on the Brewers do on a 7-game road trip, and they've got 4 against the Nationals at Washington, obviously, and then they got 3 with Cincinnati there. That's going to be a tough one for them.
Well, especially since the Reds may be in line to clinch in that series. As Harvey plays the comebacker from Howard and throws him out to end the inning, but the leadoff home run by Jimmy Rollins gives the Phillies the early advantage. Rollins staying red hot in the season's final month. His 7th home run in September and his 2nd of this series. Mets come to bat trailing 1-0. this season. Ruben Tejada leads off and takes ball one from Hamels.
Well, here are the Toyota numbers, stats for Cole Hamels this season. But since May 12, 2006, when he first came to the big leagues, no one has won more games. 89-60 record since that date.
Tejada breaks his bat and lines a base hit into left field. Juan Pierre over to play it, and Tejada on at first with a leadoff hit.
We'll take a look at the Coors Light Fighting Phil's defense. And Franson, they've given a chance to play. He's a veteran, and I don't know. I think he's basically getting a shot here to be a backup player next year. He's made 7 errors, as you can see. Mayberry's out in center field. He's not a center fielder. He's more of a corner outfielder. So they're a team that's kind of in flux right now. They're looking for other players to fill the spots.
Here's Daniel Murphy, 1 for 4 on Monday night, drove in the Mets' only run in that game. What's interesting about Franzen and his future with the Phillies is that every day before the game, Chase Utley goes over to third base and takes ground balls there, which means that the Phillies' master plan appears to be that Utley will eventually move to third and they'll open up second base for Freddie Galvis. Popped up into shallow center by Murphy, and John Mayberry is there to put it away for the first out.
Well, Franson with 7 errors, you were pointing out, Keith, in 37 games. That's 28-30 on a season. That's way too many.
That's not good. Not good.
I think despite the fact that Franson has played so well, they look at him as a backup player.
Yes, precisely. And that they lost the 3 out of 4 coming in the series prior to in Houston. They made 3 errors at third base, very costly. Franson made 2. And Michael Martinez actually played there 1 game, and he made an error that was very costly.
Here's David Wright, now just 6 hits shy of Ed Kranepool's career Mets hits record. David hitting at .310 for the year, 6th in the National League. But I think what's fascinating about that whole thing is that Utley, who's been a long-time All-Star at second base, would be as willing as he appears to be to consider moving to third base.
Well, I think it's probably a decision where he wants to extend his career and not have to be in a position to turn that double play where you're wide open, exposed to a slide.
And we've talked about it a lot the last few years as David hits one to center field and Mayberry drifts back to settle under it. And quickly there are 2 out. Tejada back to first. Ever since Utley first hurt his hip, he hasn't been the same player at second base that he was before.
Well, again, we're talking about the foundation of your hitting stance. We talked about it, or Keith did, about Howard. If you don't have that initial power that you have from the waist down as far as using your legs or hips or whatever, you're going to struggle.
And Utley's had the hip problem, now the knee problem. So
the equivalent of a pitcher who has bad legs, who can't push off. You're not going to be able to throw the ball as hard.
And you got those 2 guys on the right side of the infield, Utley and Howard, who were raised within the organization. And you just don't find that too often where you get 2 players of that quality that have come up together from your farm system. It's hard to replace.
Here's Hairston, who has 5 career home runs against Hamels, and just as he did with Wright, he moves Hairston's feet with the first pitch. So Hamels has clearly come in with a game plan against these right-hand batters to move them back, and he has been terrific coming down the stretch of the year. Last 9 starts, he's allowed 3 earned runs or less in every one. The only game that the Phillies won in that Houston series was the game that Hamels pitched on Friday night. Phillies might have put a stake in their playoff hopes by losing 3 out of 4 in Houston.
Well, I suppose, and Hamels just recently signed a big contract extension. And there was rumor he was going to play the free agency and had ideas of maybe the Dodgers, and he signed for them. Can you imagine if the Phillies had lost him? They'd be in big trouble.
There's a big piece of the reason Hamels able to throw a 2-0 changeup. He is he's got great ability to throw that changeup in fastball counts. And Hairston pops one up. Should be playable for Ruiz. He'll take charge, and that ends the inning. So a leadoff single. Tejada's left at first after 1-0 Phillies. thunderstorms and wind blowing at 50 miles an hour to fall-like weather tonight.
Boy, that's almost the view you get from the River Club when you're having a little dinner.
Good 2-day games over the weekend here. Saturday is going to be 79 degrees, folks. It's going to be a beautiful day at the ballpark. And then Sunday it gets down to 69.
What's your point?
Bring your sweaters. Light sweaters.
69 sweaters.
You're getting old. Here's Carlos Ruiz to lead off in the second inning. Ruiz 1 for 4 in the series opener, and he takes outside from Harvey. Ruiz sitting at .331 for the year. Recently returned from a bout with plantar fasciitis. That's hobbled him just a bit. Mostly they've been trying to play Ruiz every other day, and so the rainout enabled him to be in the lineup tonight. Dominic Brown on deck, and then John Mayberry in the second. Phils with a 1-0 lead on Rollins' leadoff home run against Matt Harvey, who's making his final start of the year.
That's that fastball I like that Harvey has to the right-hand hitters. Knee-high outside corner. He can paint it, and that's a good pitch.
Now he's ahead on Ruiz, 1-2. And he bounces that slider. 2-2. One thing we saw, and we were showing the video from his first start against Arizona. In a lot of these 2-strike situations in that first start, he got people out upstairs with the fastball. And there it is. We haven't necessarily seen that as much, it seems, lately.
Well, I think that for me, he's been a majority outside pitcher, both the left-handers and right-handers. And I think Keith and I both agree, if he can center that ball up and in to left-handed hitters, up and in to right-handed hitters, that's a real strength. And that's the reason he had 11 punch-outs in that game.
That first start in Arizona, he just tied guys up, right-hand hitters up and in. And that ball runs, it not only takes off upstairs, it runs in and up. So that's a very effective pitch for him.
Now he's 3-2 on Ruiz. And he walked him. So he got ahead on Ruiz and lost him to a leadoff walk. First of the night for Matt. He was averaged almost 4 walks per 9 innings.
That was an interesting call. When you think about the pitches he threw there, one changeup, all fastballs away, a slider, and Shopik decided to call fastball in on a 3-2 pitch, a pitch he hasn't thrown the entire game. It's a strange call to make because your chances of making that first strike, very minimal.
So now Dominic Brown, who had a triple and a home run on Monday night. Brown making his 39th start of the year for the Phillies. And he takes a fastball for a strike. The trades that the Phillies made right before the deadline, shipping out Shane Victorino and Hunter Pence out west, opened up opportunities for guys like Brown and Mayberry to be in there every day.
What's interesting is Harvey just throws it right by Brown. So Harvey's one of the first minor league pitchers to come up that probably wasn't oversold, maybe undersold.
Well, there's no question he's pitched better at the big league level this year than he did in AAA. And I guess it's not that unusual, but it's not what you expect.
Well, I was a .500 pitcher in the minor leagues, too. There's a lot of things that go into what your record is going to be in the minor leagues. You know, you talked about it the other day, development over wins and losses.
And even if you look at his ERA in the minor leagues, he had more bad starts down there. He's had one bad start in the big leagues in 9 outings.
Well, a lot of times when you're in the minor leagues, you're being told every day what you have to work on to get better. And sometimes when you get here, you realize, hey, my stuff is pretty good. It translates.
Although, if you'll remember, after his first start in Arizona, he was told what he needed to work on as well.
I think that in the future, or whenever I look at a pitcher, I'm looking at him 5 to 10 starts before I even make a recommendation of changing, unless the guy is just struggling.
Well, he certainly didn't struggle in that first start against Arizona, but remember the message then was you got to throw your changeup more, and then he came out that second start against the Giants and threw a ton of changeups early in the game.
What to listen to, what not to listen to is one of the prices of learning how to pitch in the major leagues or play in the major leagues.
Throwing a lot of pitches here in the second inning to the first two hitters.
Well, for me, I mean, just watching his first two innings, what do you see mostly? He's a one-pitch pitcher, right? And this first time through the lineup, which is not honestly a terrible thing because he has such great stuff, but you want him to start to mix other pitches in. I mean, Brown is a guy with 2 strikes. He's swinging. So any kind of changeup outside of the zone or down in the zone, he's going to swing through. That's the kind of hitter he is.
That hard curveball down in the dirt is hard breaking ball. He go fishing.
8th pitch of the at bat to Brown, and it's in there for a call, strike 3. So Harvey has his first strikeout of the night as Brown is caught looking.
Well, what's he looking for? A slider?
Well, that's got to be a guess if you take a pitch like that.
And have plenty of plate.
So 1 out and 1 on, and now John Mayberry. Mayberry had a 7-game hitting streak stopped on Monday when he went 0 for 4. 258, 14 home runs. He's had almost 400 at bats this year, playing first base and left field, but more recently he's been the everyday center fielder for the Phillies since the trade of Shane Victorino. Still hard to believe that Victorino's not a Philly.
Yeah, right.
You know, when you think about the Mets-Phillies rivalry over the last number of years, of course you think of Utley and Howard, of course you think of Rollins, but in some ways the major irritant in that rivalry was Victorino.
He was the pit bull, wasn't he, of that team?
Yes, I think he kind of set the tone. The spunky tone of that team. I mean, Utley plays hard but quiet. Howard's quiet. Polanco, very quiet. Ruiz is not an emotional player. You've got to. Victorino was really the fiery guy in that lineup.
One and 1 to Mayberry, and he swings through that fastball. 1 and 2.
Well, if you're the Dodgers, aren't you thinking that, boy, how many great years did we miss Victorino? We had him in the minor leagues.
Well, they had him. The Padres had him. They both allowed him to blossom as a Philly. Question after the season, of course, is where is Victorino going to land? He's going to be a free agent. Well, Harvey gets Mayberry to move his feet 2 and 2. And of course, you know, when you think about the Mets and their future, one of their great needs is a center fielder / leadoff hitter. And Michael Bourne's on the free agent market. Shane Victorino's on the free agent market. But do you want to go with an older player like that, or do you try to develop somebody younger in that role?
And you go out in the market to get a guy like Michael Bourne. It's going to be a long-term contract, and you've got, you know, Matt Dendecker down there, youngster. Which direction is this team going? Even though Dendecker did not hit well in AAA, he certainly had a nice AA season. AAA kind of caught up with him a little bit, but he's young and he can run. So if you sign a 5-year deal with a veteran like that, what does that do with your youngsters that are coming up? That's the decisions they have to make.
Pulled foul. Well, you know, 2 pieces about that. One is Dendecker has struggled early at every level he's been at and then caught up. He did it at single-A, double-A, and triple-A. The other thing is, don't forget about Kirk Neuenhuis.
Yep.
I mean, you know, Neuenhuis struggled his last month in the big leagues and then hurt his foot and missed the last month and a half of the season down in the minors, but he is certainly still very much on the Mets' radar. Toward the hole, Tejada slides over, quick toss to Murphy, and the relay for 2. Beautifully done. Tejada knew exactly how much time he had and got rid of that ball quickly. Murphy with a nice turn for the 6-4-3 double play. Middle of the second, 1-0 Phillies. free admission to Mets games in September. Call 718-507-TIXX or get to Mets.com/kidsfree for tickets. Ike Davis leads off the home second against Cole Hamels. Ike hitting just 168 against lefties this year, and you see the numbers here at Citi Field. Not a whole lot better. And Hamels throws the cutter in for a strike.
Was it 20 of the 27 home runs on the road, correct?
Yep. He does have a home run in his career against Hamels in 16 at bats. And he lofts that one foul. You know, it's been widely talked about the fact that the Mets have now gone 14 straight home games scoring no more than 3 runs. But we got maybe a more stunning number from Elias today. The Mets have gone 11 straight home games without scoring a single run in the first 3 innings of any one of those games. First 3 innings of 11 straight home games, they failed to score a run. So they've been behind most of the time.
Well, they can't be ahead.
Not with 0. I mean, it's amazing.
It is.
And it's really it's emblematic of what has happened to this team the second half of the year.
Well, the fact that they go to Milwaukee, Garrett, and you and I were there, and they put up crooked numbers all over the place there and scored runs, it's got to be in their head. It's got to be something that is a negative that they can't get out. That for them to struggle so much at home offensively. 1 run the other night.
As Hamels takes care of Ike with the changeup. First strike out of the night for Hamels.
If you're looking for a fastball because it's 3-2, Cole Hamels, I'm going to throw you a changeup. If you've noticed, you very rarely see Cole Hamels throw 2 pitches the same speed in any at bat. That's been his strength.
That's Tommy Glavine's strength all those years.
Except he's got petrol.
Yep.
Yeah, Glavine didn't have many years he could throw 94. Here's Kelly Shoppach.
Well, shall we sound the trumpets for our colleague Ralph Kiner?
Anytime.
On this date in 1949. I know Ralph's down in Florida watching. And Ralph, you hit 54 home runs in 1949 with 127 RBIs. You also led the league with 117 walks that year. But on this day, you hit your 50th home run of the season and became the first player in National League history to have back-to-back 50-plus home run seasons. How about that?
He was a wonder, wasn't he? Well, Ralph, we're thinking about you.
Whenever in this game you're the first to do something, that's pretty amazing. Yeah, we are thinking about you, Ralph.
There you go.
7 straight years he's led the National League in home runs, and it wasn't like he was playing in the bandbox at Forbes Field either.
What was it? Wasn't it the right center or 440 something?
Yeah.
The center field was a like 3 football fields away.
Shoppach hits one in the air to left, chasing Pierre back, but he'll have plenty of room. And there are 2 out.
I know Joe Torre told me a story that in the old days they used to keep the batting cage out in center field and right center because it was so deep, no reason anyone's going to go out there, and that Joe had hit a line drive in the gap and it rolled all the way to the batting cage, and he was thinking about a inside the park home run. He rounded third, and he said he knew he didn't have a chance because the third base coach was laughing as he rounded third as they threw him out at the plate.
Here's Lucas Duda. Duda 1 for 4 on Monday night. 7 hits in his last 19 at bat, so he's been swinging the bat very well over the last week. Trying to make the most of this late season run where he's getting a chance to play every day. It was 462 feet to center field at Forbes Field.
462.
462.
So that's why Ralph learned to pull.
Awfully hard to get the ball into the apple at Forbes Field. Here's the 1-1, and Duda takes ball 2. Well, R.A. Dickey makes his next start on Sunday afternoon against the Marlins. But we don't have to wait that long to see our next knuckleballer. 2-2 to Duda. The great Phil Niekro is going to be joining us in the booth the next half inning to talk knuckleballs.
Nuxie. And folks, when we have him in the booth here, we have the camera on, just let me know one way or the other. He looks exactly like Kirk Douglas. He's a spitting image of Kirk.
Kirk's a little older.
Yes.
Change up away. Does he go fastball in? Change it up.
Shift wants him to shake cambio.
2-2 to Duda, and he comes inside. Full count. Andres Torres would be next. Now the 3-2, and it's on the outside corner, and Duda caught looking at the fastball. Second strikeout for Cole Hamels. Well, when we come back, a guy who struck out people in a different fashion. Phil Niekro joins us in the booth when we come back here to Citi Field. We go to the third inning, and Kevin Franzen will lead off for the Phils against Matt Harvey, who gave up a leadoff home run to Jimmy Rollins in the first for the Phillies' only hit. Franzen hitting at .336. He was 0 for 3 in the series opener. He's been playing every day at third base, and that was true even before Placido Polanco was shut down. They benched Polanco in favor of Franzen, who is no kid. He's been kicking around for a while, a longtime Giants farmhand. Pops this one up into shallow center. And Andres Torres there, 1 out. Well, Knuckleball the movie follows the Major League's only knuckleballers in 2011, R.A. Dickey and Tim Wakefield, as they pursue this mercurial art form. All living knuckleballers, including Phil Niekro, are featured in the film as well. Screenings begin at the IFC Center in New York this week, and it's available on video on demand. All locations listed at knuckleballmovie.com. And Phil Niekro will join us shortly. Here's Cole Hamels, 15 hits this year, second in the major leagues. Only Mike Leake of the Reds has more hits. He has 16. So Hamels just one behind. Jimmy Rollins waits on deck. Harvey behind 2-0. And there's a strike. And a fastball on the inside edge, 2-2. And Harvey takes care of Hamels. Second strikeout for Matt. 2 out in the third.
Just too much on this fastball for Hamels, despite being a good athlete. Good movement. Sinker at 94 miles an hour.
Haven't seen much of that from Harvey, have we?
Outstanding.
And this is a good inning for Harvey. Ronnie, you always said the bottom half of the order, be quick with them. He had a lot of pitches in the second, and he's kind of cruising right through here.
They get the Met killer here, though.
Well, here's Rollins, who cleared the right field fence for his 22nd home run and his second in this series, his first time up. 33 career leadoff home runs. Got a ways to catch the master, Ricky Henderson. Murphy in front of that ground ball, and it's a very quick inning for Matt Harvey. He gets through it with just 9 pitches thrown. We go to the bottom of the third, still 1-0 Phillies. We are fortunate enough to have Phil joining us in the booth here in the bottom of the third inning as the knuckleball movie makes its rounds in New York. It must have been a lot of fun for you guys to all get together, all of you knuckleballers in the same place.
Those freaky guys, what they call freaky pitches.
Not knuckleheads.
Yeah, it was. Me and Charlie Huff and RA in Wakefield to get down and play a little golf, sit down and tell some stories. How none of us could get you out.
Oh, no, you got me out. We looked it up.
Oh, did I get you out?
I was on the interstate with you, I think.
One time?
Phil, a lot of the premise of this movie is about the fact that knuckleballers don't get very much respect. How much would it mean to the knuckleball community if RA could win the Cy Young this year?
It would mean a lot to every knuckleball pitcher ever threw the pitch in the game, because there's never one that won a Cy Young. So it would, and I think a lot of people, once they see this movie, are going to realize that, you know, if you can't throw 95 miles an hour, here's a little ticket to get to the big leagues with. I mean, that's what got me there, and that's what kept me there.
Right, you came up, you were what, a sinker slider pitcher with the Braves, Milwaukee, when you came up?
Yeah, but I was a knuckleball pitcher, but I was still a knuckleball.
Really?
You know,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but some sinker slider, but not very good at it.
I mean, you and your brother were kind of unique, I guess, in the knuckleball fraternity in that you didn't arrive at the knuckleball out of desperation, which appears to be what the usual path is.
I was throwing mine in high school, American Legion. I went to a walkout camp. I got signed for $500, and I jumped all over that baby. That was a big bonus then. And that was it. I went to Waycross, Georgia, and that started it.
What made you at that age want to throw the knuckleball? It just seems like that wouldn't even come in anybody's mind. It's something you wanted to do? Was there?
No, my father taught that to me when I was like 10 years old in the backyard. So we choose up sides, me and John Havlicek, and picked a team. And I could throw that to get the kids and the girls out with in my little somebody's backyard in Ohio. And then I just took it to American Legion High School.
As Torres is called out on strikes. Well, of course, the other part of this movie is Tim Wakefield, who just retired after last season, and what a tremendous career he had with the Red Sox.
Well, what's interesting about Wakefield is that he came up as an everyday player, and because he couldn't hit enough, he wanted to still play in the big leagues. The knuckleball gave him that path, right?
Right. A guy by the name of Woody Heike saw him on the side and said, "You got a pretty good knuckleball. Why don't you go with that?" And I think that was Tim's maybe last option to play in the big leagues, and made the commitment, made the sacrifice, and worked with it, and had a pretty good career with it.
So Phil, when did you first meet R.A. Dickey? When did he first get into contact with you? How did that relationship begin?
Well, I knew about him because I remember seeing him last year, but he called me. I think he lives up in Nashville. He just called me. He says, "Can I come down and visit with you?" And it was during the winter. He brought his catcher. I think he was his coach or something. Brought a catcher down. We spent some time in the indoor facility down there. We just talked knuckleball, and I didn't have a whole lot to do with that. I think Charlie Help was a guy that really, really helped him a lot. I was just a real small piece of the puzzle with R.A. Dickey.
And when knuckleball, when you talk to a pitcher who is aspiring to have success as a knuckleballer, what are the most important things that you try to impart?
If you want to be a knuckleball pitcher, forget the fastball, forget the slider, forget the screwball, the circle change. You're going to eat, sleep, and drink knuckleball 24 hours a day. You're going to throw it, and you're going to throw it, and you're going to throw it, and you got to believe in it, and you got to want to do it, and you don't care what anybody thinks about it.
As Harvey strikes out for the second out. Well, there's the list of most victories among knuckleball pitchers, and of course Phil at the top of the list in the Hall of Fame. 318 wins.
Phil, is there a universal grip that everyone uses, or everyone uses a variation of a grip?
Here, I think everybody uses, basically the same one, the two fingernails into the ball. I know one guy that threw it for 3, but I don't know of anybody that I knew threw it that way. It's grab the ball, get the fingernails, throw it up in here, stiff wrist it, and let the ball come out like that.
It seems, though, as though some of you put your nails in a different spot on the ball than others.
Right. I'm sure curveball pitchers hold the curveball a bit different.
Right.
Fastballs, sliders hold a different. That's the way I could throw it, and I started there, and then went to here, and then went to here, and it's just a variety of where it feels good that you can get over the plate the most. That's how you're going to hold it.
Did you have to manicure your fingernails?
I did. Yeah, I bit them a lot.
I noticed.
You did. Sometime during the game, I just get back there and bite them, make it feel right. Carry the file in my pocket a lot between innings. Insure them.
So did Don Sutton.
I didn't want to go there. What are you trying to say? He never threw a knuckleball.
Phil, when you watch R.A., are you fascinated by his ability to throw the knuckleball so hard?
And get it over the plate. I am. In throwing that many for strikes, not walk that many guys. He's off to the best career I've ever seen a knuckleball start out with. And he's dominating the league right now. We're all going to have a few bad games here and there, but he is full of confidence. He loves the pitch. He wants to throw it. He's made the commitment that this is it. It's going to keep me in the big league. So he's young. People think, 31, 32, you're maybe getting a little old, but I won my first game in the big leagues. I was 26, I think, or 7. So he's got a long way to go.
Now, are those two things related that we were just talking about? The velocity, does that help him with his control? Does it help him throw more strikes with the knuckleball than the average knuckleball pitcher?
Yeah, you have to ask him that. Yeah. I really don't know. I can't speak for him, but I do know that There's a nice little base hit.
Ruben Tejada with a 2-out hit, his second hit.
That's the way you see them, Keith, off of me.
Well, you were no day in the park. George Hendrick would just tell go Whitey. He told Whitey when we got George in the trade, he goes, Whitey, I can't hit that knuckleball. Just put someone else out there. George would never be in the lineup.
He wouldn't play.
No, he wouldn't play.
Now, my understanding, Phil, is that you had a certain level of success against our friend here.
I don't know. I never kept track. I always figure, it's not where I've been, it's where I'm going.
Tejada takes off, and he steals the base. Just his third of the year.
Yeah, for me, it was pitch by pitch by pitch, and he hit some home runs off of me. I know he did, I'm sure.
I hit 239 against you.
I think he had one home run. You know what he did a lot? Walked a lot. So he was looking for the walk when he went up there.
Well, I always felt the knuckleballer was always going to make you swing at a bad one because it tried to get you to swing and expand the strike zone.
Well, I never threw him a fastball because I respected the power. We had the book out on you. I was going to throw you the fastball.
If you ran that little sinker away.
Oh, yeah, and you try to pull it.
But that was very rare, so it was no fun. It was always like, okay, guys, don't be afraid to knock this guy out and get a conventional pitcher in here quickly.
Who was your best?
Now, what's conventional mean? I don't know. I don't understand that.
Yeah, that's right. It means run of the mill, the usual things, not extraordinary. As Murphy lines a base in, Tejada the third is being waved in.
Be close.
And Pierre with that pop gun arm can't get him. Murphy's down to second, and the Mets have tied the game at 1.
Well, nice play by Tumple at third base coach, waving home Tejada. Pierre does not have a strong arm. He's playing shallow. Anybody with a decent arm going to throw out Tejada at the plate, but nicely done by Tuff, and Murph on the backside advancing on the throw. I got to ask you one question, Phil. I always ask it. Who was the toughest out for you? Who had the most success?
I don't know who had the most success, but I did not like to see Billy Buckner come up to the plate. Because I knew his objective was to get to first base. And he really didn't care how he did it. It's those guys. I'd rather pitch against Willie Mays with the bases loaded than Billy Buckner. I could strike Willie out now and then, and McCovey and those guys, but I can't remember striking out Buckner.
Buckner was a pretty good hitter, line drive hitter.
Yeah. He fouled the ball off. You were a tough out. You were a tough
similar
out.
hitter than Buckner. I always thought the guys with the line drive hitters would be the toughest out, where the guys with the longer swings, the home runs, are you can swing as hard as you want, and that knuckleball it dances too much.
I don't know if I ever got Ron out. I can't remember.
I'm sure you did if we faced each other.
No.
I probably just watched it 3 times.
Could you hit that sinker? You had that slider. I couldn't hit you with an ironing board.
We always hear about knuckleballers going to other knuckleballers for instruction. Did you ever have a pitching coach who could actually help you?
Not really. I was my own pitching coach. My late brother Joe was my pitching coach. Hoyt Wilhelm was my pitching coach. And I think maybe to a certain extent I was Wakefield's, and very little with RA here. But when we talk, we know what we're talking about. No one else knows what we're talking about.
It's like a different language.
It is.
Well, Phil, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Gentlemen, thank you. Look for the documentary, the movie. You can see it on iTunes or knuckleballmovie.com. You can find it. You're going to really enjoy it.
Good. Well, good to see you, Phil. Good to see you.
Keith, Ron, thank you guys.
Thank you,
Jerry.
Phil. Fourth inning, Mets and Phils tied at 1, so the Mets break a string of 11 straight home games in which they failed to score a run in the first 3 innings. Took a little aggressiveness on the base paths for them to get it. Juan Pierre takes a strike from Matt Harvey, who's back even.
Oh, it's so great to watch. A 2-out hit, stolen base, aggressive call by Tuffle at third.
Taking advantage of Juan Pierre's arm.
Backhand play by Ike Davis, and Pierre retired 1 away. So 1 out on the top of the 4th. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin.
Talking with David Wright about Matt Harvey and what that is about him that he thinks, the off the field stuff that's going to help make him successful. He's got a tremendous amount of confidence, not cockiness, but knowing that he belongs. He's very, very respectful. He's a great teammate. But I go back to spring training for him. He said because he came in there, he was not wide-eyed at all, but yet had that confidence. And I think you need that confidence as a starting pitcher to control the game. You do. He said, but all he did was work. As a young guy, he worked just as hard as anybody, and that was great to see. He worked. He hung out with Johan Santana a lot, trying to absorb as much knowledge as he can. He's a quiet guy, but you just sense that being around him. And, guys, I guess I'm curious, just from that conversation, when you obviously need confidence in anything you do, especially to play this game, but where is that line between confidence and cockiness? Because he's also a rookie, and he's got to know his place on this team.
Well, I think what's interesting, Kevin, is that you can have a strut in this game without strutting. There's certain people that just come into a clubhouse and make their mark, and they don't have to be overconfident or talk a big game or feel like they have 2 years in the big leagues before they have a day. Some players just command respect just by who they are, how they act, and it can be quietly. It can be very quietly. But, he just has a... it helps that he has a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, and it helps that he has a razor-blade slider, but also it helps that I think he believes he belongs here. And that's half the battle a lot of times for young players.
And how about the fact that he can come out of a game like he did against the Nationals his last time out? And this has happened a number of times now. Strikes out 10 batters in 5 innings, gives up 1 run, and expresses disappointment in the way he pitched because the team didn't win the game.
Team didn't win the game, and I think he has higher aspirations for how far he goes and how deep he goes into a game. I think he fancies himself a guy who's going to be 220-plus innings a year.
200 strikeouts, too.
Yep.
He sets the bar pretty high.
Another easy chance for Davis, and quickly there are 2 out as Utley is retired. Let me ask you this, because Terry talks about this a lot, about Harvey being one of those rare guys who doesn't just want to be good, he wants to be great. And my question to you is, how rare is that really among major league players?
I tell you what, major league players are like anybody else. They're just playing a game. Very few of them are highly skilled, and they have their insecurities like anybody else. Getting back to Harvey's cockiness or confidence, that brings to mind Lenny Dykstra, and I can use myself. I'd rather have a guy like Dykstra come up that was full of cockiness and backed it up, or a guy like me when I came up when I was 20. I was so overmatched and so insecure and not sure that I belonged that there was no, it took me 3 years. I struggled before I finally found my footing. I know I'm not answering the question.
But did others see that insecurity in you, or did you just feel that in yourself?
Well, when you're a rookie back then, you kept your mouth shut. When you had Bob Gibson in the clubhouse, you just kind of found a corner where you'd be farthest away from him.
You weren't allowed in the trainer room.
Yep. And you had, you got a lot of razzing back then. It really did, and it was every day and constant. So you just kept your mouth shut. I didn't really fit in. I was in a veteran ball club. A lot of guys, most of the guys were in their 30s. Early 30s. I felt like a little boy out there with men. I really did.
Because you get a lot of ball players. I mean, it's a macho sport,
yeah.
like any sport, and a lot of guys will have a lot of bravado, but still feel that insecurity inside.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the greatest scrum in the world to try to get to the top. The difference is that everyone wants to be great, just certain people have different skill sets. And when you look at Matt Harvey, it's a different skill set.
Takes care of Ryan Howard with the high fastball. 3rd strikeout for Harvey. He's now set down 8 in a row. 1-1 game going to the bottom of the 4th. SNY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Mets are even with Cole Hamels as we go to the bottom of the fourth. Scott Hairston leads off. He fouled out to the catcher his first time. Hairston has 29 career at-bats against Hamels, 11 hits, including 5 home runs.
You know what I've often wondered, Ron, and I don't know the answer to this. Let's Juan Pierre with the bad arm. You develop your arm when you're a young kid by throwing long, stretching your arm out. My dad did it with me. But when you become an adult, is there a point of no return where you're stuck with that bad arm?
Yes.
No matter what you do to work to make it stronger, it's not going to happen?
There's an innate ability to throw the ball well. No one ever talks about that.
Ruiz loses his helmet.
Because you're a first baseman, but you've got a fantastic arm.
Yes, I did.
That was part of your strength. But people never, you think about it, people never talk about your arm when they talk about your first base play. And there's an innate ability to throw the ball hard. And he did not have it, obviously, but so many other tools for Juan Pierre, the ability to run.
I don't think a great arm is a gift, is a God-given gift. I don't think you're born with it. I think that you develop it when you're young. Does it mean that anybody that throws properly going to have a strong arm if they do everything that your father did with you, or I did with myself, my father did with me?
No, I think there's an innate ability. There wasn't a better athlete that played when he came up in the late 80s than Barry Bonds, and Barry Bonds had no arm at all. But he used to do some things that would hide his arm.
Hairston tries one to left center, back toward the wall, and that ball is off the fence on the fly. Hairston heads for second as Mayberry's throw comes in a shade too late. Hairston just missed his 6th career home run against Hamels. Instead settles for his 24th double of the year.
Well, wants the ball away, and he misses up and in, and Hairston's very quick. Almost just missed it by around 3 feet.
Kind of was like a hockey stop. When you see the hockey players that put the 2 skates out.
Well, lost in the morass of the Mets' poor second half, Scott Hairston has had himself quite a year.
Yes, he has.
I mean, that's 43 extra base hits for Hairston. He's only had 325 at-bats. So the Mets have the tie-breaking run in scoring position for Ike Davis, who struck out his first time up.
Plexiglass.
A little different look, looking through those temporary seats that flank home plate. Those seats are there to experiment with the Mets looking ahead to the All-Star game next year. Some extra seating for dignitaries and the like.
So yes, the camera angles are being looked at very closely by our multiple Emmy award-winning director Bill Webb, famous Irishman.
Right back off Hamels. He chases it down, but Davis has an infield hit. Holding at second is Hairston, and now we'll see how Hamels is.
This caught all leather. He should be fine. Right off the end of his glove.
Look at the quick reactions here with the glove, and then reaction when the ball gets by him. He's right after it.
And nothing that Scott Hairston can do. You always have to freeze there on the line drive.
So the Mets have the first 2 men on of the 4th. And now Kelly Shopping will try and do something with it.
And let's not forget that these are important games. Every game from this point on for the Phillies are very important. 74 and 74, 4 out in the wild card. They can't have a series like they had, losing 3 out of 4 in Houston.
On the inside edge to Shopping. Well, the Mets looking to cash something here. Look at the Mets numbers with runners in scoring position. The first half of the year they hit 269. The second half of the year 197 with runners in scoring position. 14 straight home games without as many as 4 runs.
That was the great Waldo Pepper right there. Not him. That's Terry Collins, of course. It's referring to Wally Backman.
Waldo Pepper.
There he is.
Wally, who managed in Buffalo this year. Mets will not have a manager in Buffalo next year. Mets AAA team will be in Las Vegas.
Kind of a dangerous place to play minor league baseball, isn't it? Las Vegas every day.
Well, most minor leaguers don't make enough money for it to be a big issue,
Well,
do they?
you hope. You don't want. No, I won't go there.
Well, you have to deal with the altitude.
Well, that's the problem, is that you know, you get your heart broken there if you're a pitcher.
But also on the other side, you have to watch how you evaluate your hitters. And Terry Collins managed in Albuquerque for a number of years, so he knows about that. He said you have to basically take 25 points off the batting averages when you look at position players.
It was the same thing in the California State League, which was the top A-ball league of my time. I didn't play. I skipped that league. But Reno was in the league up there in the mountains. The ball carried. Visalia, Fresno, Stockton.
When you think about it, it's one of the reasons that the Dodgers got rid of prematurely Steve Garvey, because Greg Brock and Mike Marshall were having years down in Albuquerque where you had to stand up and listen.
Franklin Stubbs.
Franklin Stubbs. That's a
Same
great name.
thing. Franklin came up. I thought Franklin was the better hitter of the guys they called up. He was a nice guy.
None of them was Steve Garvey.
No, Steve was pretty top notch.
Shopping pulls one foul.
And that infield, which was Davey Lopes at second, Bill Russell at short. Garvey came up at third base, if you recall, and then they moved him over to first. Then Ron Say came up. They all played in AAA for not several years, but more than a few years with Lasorda.
Yeah.
And when Walter Alston retired, and Lasorda came up, that was the best thing that ever happened to him.
Yeah, he brought his team up.
And they all came up like 26, 27, 28 years of age.
That quartet played together for 10 years, longer than any infield foursome in history.
It was going to be Bobby Valentine in center field to stay for many years, too. He was a Lasorda protege.
Again, the 2-2 to Shopping, and he just got a piece of that changeup.
Well, they had to wait. The first baseman of the generation ahead of them was Ron Fairley, Wes Parker. They shared first base. Jim Lefevre played third and second. We had Maury Wills was a shortstop. Jim Grabarkowitz, if you remember him, he was a third baseman that didn't hit. Had one good year.
Billy Grabarkowitz.
Billy Grabarkowitz, that's right. Thank you. So they finally got their chance.
Eighth pitch of the at-bat coming from Hamels to Shopping. And he struck him out with the high fastball. And that's the first out of the inning. 6 strikeouts now for Hamels.
He's got a good fastball upstairs today. He's got some great life.
He's got good life on his face. He's throwing hard tonight. And he's got the good changeup. He's getting it over. Nice combination.
A lot of talking here between Hamels and Ruiz. More than you usually see. Also talking to the shortstop, Jimmy Rollins, which tells me they're changing the signs here in midstream.
Hamels tonight has gone over 200 innings for the season for the 3rd straight year and the 4th time in his career. In 08, when the Phillies won it all, he threw 227 innings in the regular season.
I remember.
And then he threw 35 more in the postseason, so he wound up with 262 innings that year.
It's like my 86 year, just adds on, you know.
Lucas Duda takes a strike.
I remember his first start at Shea in 06 against that very, very good Met team, where the Mets just beat him up. Delgado hit a home run off him. He just got rocked. He's 5-10 lifetime against the Mets.
Done better lately, though.
Yes.
Duda takes inside, and it's 1-1. Lucas was caught looking his first time up. By the way, speaking of pitching and the postseason, I read something very interesting today that I was not aware of regarding the new wild card game that will be played between the 2 wild card teams in each league. Now, normally in the postseason, you set your roster before each series, and you might change it up between the division series and the league championship series. But they're going to do the same thing for the wild card game. So you will have a 25-man roster for the wild card game that presumably will only have 1 starting pitcher on it. So you'll have 3-4 extra spots for extra bench players or relief pitchers, because you only need the 1 starter for the 1 game.
And whoever wins it can reset their roster.
Reset it before
So
the
what do
division series.
what's your feeling about that, Gary?
Well, I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I think
so
you
do
should
I.
have to stay with the same roster for the wild card game and the division series, right?
Exactly. Ridiculous.
I agree.
7 strikeouts now for Hamels as Dudas caught for the 2nd time.
Well, that's 2 times he's been caught looking. This one looked like a little cutter on the outside corner. And I think Lucas is right. It looked like it was outside. Got the benefit of that strike zone from Bob Davidson. 199 punch outs now for Cole Hamels.
I thought you said Bob Davidson had a tin cup back there.
I did. I always thought that he had a very, very strict strike zone, but he's been opening it up for Hamels tonight.
Got his tin cup banged out a little bit. Here's Torres with 2 out and 2 on. And he takes it wide for ball 1. So the Mets got the first 2 men on here in the 4th. Hamels has responded with back-to-back strikeouts. Torres was caught looking his first time up. Andres came into the night a 300 hitter from the right side of the plate. And Hamels falls behind him 2-0 with the pitcher Harvey on deck.
I haven't thrown with Bob behind the plate in 25 years, so the memory might be going on that one. But seeing 2 of the hardest throwers in the National League, and Harvey and Hamels tonight.
I remember when Bob had hair.
Remember when I had hair.
Sorry, I almost caught myself, Gareth. I apologize.
2-1 to Torres.
This is like a flip inning from the 3rd for Hamels. He struck out the first 2 in the 3rd inning, and then gave up a run with 2 consecutive hits. He's given up 2 hits to start the 4th, and now has 2 punch outs and a strike away, or 2 strikes away from getting out of this inning.
Now he's behind Torres 3-1. How do you operate in this spot as a pitcher, Ronnie? You got a good hitting pitcher on deck.
It's a tough call, but I think, you would know the numbers. You know that Torres is much better from this side. You're going to make a pitcher's pitch, and if you miss, then you'll go to the pitcher with the bases loaded.
And Torres pops it up, and it's shallow right. Dominic Brown jogs in to get it. So the Mets put the first 2 men on in the 4th and come up empty after 4, tied at 1. by high yield free checking from Capital One Bank. What's in your wallet? And by Cholula Hot Sauce, the flavorful hot sauce with the iconic wooden cap. Sunday, immediately after the Jets wrap up their game against the Dolphins, tune to SNY for behind-the-scenes access, player reactions, and a complete game breakdown with exclusive on-field interviews and Rex Ryan's post-game comments. Jets post-game live presented by Toyota, Sunday immediately after the Jets-Dolphins game, only on SNY. Matt Harvey in a 1-1 game as we go to the fifth inning. Matt's at 62 pitches after 4. Do you think in his final start of the year that he'll be given a little extra leeway in terms of his pitch count?
No, he will be right around the 100 to 105, 110 at the most. You know, I don't think you ever want to be the manager on your watch that takes him to 125 on his last start. You know, around the 100 pitch mark, maybe a little more.
Matt's retired 8 in a row since he walked Ruiz his first time up, and Ruiz out in front of that.
Plus, why would you at the end of the season do anything different than he's had all season long?
Terry was asked before the game today whether after he's shut down if he'll throw bullpen sessions or keep him warm. He said no, shutdown is shut down. He said I might use him to pinch hit.
You're right.
Fly ball out to right center, and over comes Torres to settle under it. 1 away.
Well, last night we had our meeting at around 3 o'clock, SNY meeting with our executive producer and associate producer, our director, and the game was called at 4 o'clock, so I had to make a custard decision whether to drive home in traffic ahead of the weather or, you know, I'm already here, I was with Renee, go into the city, have dinner. So we made a decision to go into the city and have dinner. So I stopped by my old haunt, Smith and Walensky's at the Grill. Patrick was my favorite bartender back there. And lo and behold, at the bar, bellied up, having their dinner, was the 4 umpires here. So Brian Gorman, right there, the first base umpire tonight, who was second base umpire the other night and had that home run call, he said, "Hey, Keith, my wife called me and said you called me lazy last night." And I said, "Yeah, I did. You were." I go, "That home run." I go, "We're playing 3.5 hour games here, and you can't run out there and make a home run call. And we got to wait a minute and 16 seconds for you to guys go underneath and come on out." I go, "Come on, get your fanny out there." And then he said, I go, "How'd you find out?" He goes, "My wife called me." So he calls his wife. I had a long conversation with the wife. And I said, "Mrs. Gorman," she's in L.A. I said, "Your husband's behind the dish the getaway day. I'm going to be all over him. He has a bad day." So we had a big laugh. And actually, I talked with Bob Davidson as Brown goes down swinging. I asked Bob, because Bob's the senior here, and Bob is at home plate tonight. I asked Bob, who was the hardest thrower in your 27 years in the big leagues? And that's always, I want to know. And he said, without beyond a shadow of a doubt, Rob Dibble.
Really?
Yes. So I thought that was interesting. There's a guy that's been here behind the plate for 27 years, and he said Rod Dibble by far was the hardest thrower. Now he was there when Nolan Ryan was pitching. Yeah. Think about it.
Right.
Strasburg now.
Chapman.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, did you ever face Dibble?
Yes, I did.
Now, he had the most histrionics of any pitcher in the game, arms and legs and all that, but did you think he was the hardest thrower?
He threw very hard. I didn't face him enough. I was on my way out when he was coming up, and it was Norm Charlton was there, and we still had Randy Myers. So Randy hadn't gone over to the Cincinnati yet. I always felt what the hardest thrower was I've ever faced was Don Gullett before he hurt his arm, Cincinnati, left-hander, and Steve Bedrosian out of the bullpen, Braves and Phillies. So I specifically asked Bob, I said, even Bedrosian, and he goes, "Oh, gosh, you're right, Bedrosian did throw hard." And he thought about it for a while. He said, "Nope, it was Dibble."
Who struck you out in your only at-bat against him.
Well, that's okay. I had to give him, he's trying to make a living.
He's trying to make his mark.
One of the great moments at Shea Stadium was Dibble. It was a turn back the clock night, and they wore old Reds uniforms, old Mets uniforms, and Bonilla beat him with a walk-off home run, and Dibble ripped the jersey off before he crossed the foul line and threw it on the ground.
I got a better one, and Ronnie was there. He drilled Tim. Now, I never thought that Tim was a fighter, Tuffle. He drilled Tim so hard, and Tim charged him out. Remember that?
Yep.
And gave Dibble a black eye.
That was the one where Charlton and Juan Samuel got into it.
Game's over. Dibbles comes in our clubhouse looking for Tuffle. I almost had a beef in the clubhouse. In our clubhouse. You don't do that. I remember Wayne Twitchell came in looking for Al Hrabowski in one game when I was young, and Lou had to step in there and calm Twitchell down. Who
Mayberry drives one to center, and on comes Torres to grab it.
Twitchell's eyes were like popping out of their sockets. He was so upset.
11 in a row retired by Matt Harvey. He's in a pitcher's duel with Hamels halfway through. That's the only hit Matt Harvey's allowed over 5 innings. Mets got even in the 3rd, and now Cole Hamels faces Harvey leading off in the 5th. Matt struck out his first time up, and he fouls the first pitch away. Harvey now 6 for 17 at the plate. That, folks, is a .353 lifetime batting average. Don't see those often.
Wow, Dave Kingman. King Kong. Dave's retired up on the Nevada side of the border in Lake Tahoe.
And Harvey went around on the pitch in the dirt. Makes an effort to run and is tossed out. That's 8 strikeouts now for Hamels. 1 down in the 5th.
Spent any time up there in Lake Tahoe?
Yeah, I was. Actually, the greatest time I ever had there, the Warriors had a basketball camp. The San Francisco Warriors.
Oh, yeah.
The Rick Barry days, and they had a 1-week basketball camp, and I was in Squaw Valley, the ski center, and my brother and I went up for the week, and that's when meditation was first coming in, and the Maharishi Yoga was there, and we're like all these kids, and we were sneaking into the auditorium to listen to the Maharishi. We got so bored that we left. It was over our heads.
Ruben Tejada's 2 for 2, and he takes a strike. So if Rick Barry was running the camp, did you learn how to shoot free throws underhand?
I made the All-Star team of the younger group. No, I didn't shoot like Rick Barry, but it was I can't think of his name. Gosh, Nate Thurman was there, and they had all
Laddles?
Yes, and they had all the college basketball coaches in the area from Santa Clara, San Francisco State, Berkeley, Stanford. It was a big deal. Great experience.
good thing you weren't better at basketball. History would have been changed.
I was pretty good in high school, but I could never have played up in college. I'd had to play in a small college.
Tejada floats one down the right field line, but that'll go foul. Broke his bat. Ruben breaking his bat for the second time tonight. The first one netted him a base hit. He stole a base in the third inning. A little bit of a sneak attack for Ruben, who has not been stealing bases. And he scored the Mets run.
Did you play basketball in high school, Ronnie?
I did. Well, it's a long story, but I'll try to make it shorter. My freshman year, outstanding. I was like, this is going to be my sport. And then that was the time that the four corners came in to basketball, where you pass the ball around forever, and the scores would be 12-8. Ugh. I said, I got to have my 20 pops a game. I mean, no, I'm out of this sport. That's gone.
Yeah, I was fortunate. We were like the West Coast. It was like the West Coast offense.
Fast break,
fast break. I used to lead the fast break. Great fun. Great sport to practice.
Keep you in shape.
Yeah.
Franson with the play. Low throw, and Howard does a nice job picking it up. 2 out.
I can see why he's had trouble with his errors. I mean, this throw spiked.
Tough hop, too. You see what Howard does, though? He gets his body in front.
And that ball came out and used his bare hand.
Yep. You can use your 2 hands there just in case.
It's interesting. He didn't look that in, though. Look at his head. Kind of lifts his head a little bit.
And he's got his glove back here. Go reach for it.
Look at his face.
Yep.
Turned to the side.
He kept his body in front. Yep. Give him credit there. Nicely done.
First ground out of the night for Hamels has been all strikeouts and fly balls. And now Murphy, who drove in the Met run with a base hit to left, takes a strike.
I quit baseball my junior year to play because I got gung-ho in football.
Oh, wow.
It took me 1 year of football to realize that's not where I wanted to be.
Double sessions.
Rare curveball from Hamels to get ahead on Murphy.
It's interesting you say that, Gary. Rare curveball, because when he first came up, it was fastball curveball.
Kind of like we mentioned Glavine before. Glavine came up as a curveball pitcher with the Braves and then abandoned that pitch for a long time.
What'd your father think about you giving up baseball for a year?
My dad handled it perfectly. He said, son, you go right ahead. He goes, but you're making a mistake, and I know that you're going to, next baseball season, you're going to be chomping at the bit. So he let me do it, and he was right. Next year, I couldn't wait to play.
Hamels blows away Murphy. That's 9 strikeouts in 5 innings for Hamels. Harvey back to the mound in a 1-1 game as we go to the 6th. State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. You thought he was going to catch that ball, didn't you?
It was a nice effort.
Well, Matt Harvey's retired the last 11 Phillies he's faced. They'll take on 8, 9, and 1 in the order here in the 6th inning. Kevin Franzen flying to center his first time up. Harvey has walked 1. He's struck out 4. Gave up just the 1 hit, but that was the leadoff home run to Rollins in the first. Nothing since. A ball and a strike to Franzen. Cole Hamels on deck, and then Rollins here in the 6th. Ronnie, Matt Harvey says physically he feels fantastic. He's not a guy who's coming off any particular injury issue. So are the Mets doing the right thing in shutting him down after the start tonight?
Well, I think they're doing the right thing by the way the game is played today. You know, the jumping innings from last year, they're trying to make these subtle jumps every season now so that, you know, by the time they get to the major leagues, they're ready for 180 to 200 innings. And that's just how the game is played. I mean, I would love to see him finish it out and start 3 more, but that's more selfish for the broadcast to keep watching him pitch. But well, that's how it's done.
If you move him up incrementally this year and shut him off at 170 innings, which is what they're doing, then if the Mets contend next year, how far will he be able to go? And will you have to be looking at some shutdown there?
Well, I think that you're looking at 200 innings, and you know, he can make that jump 25 or 30 to 200. And once you get to 200, that's plenty for a season.
But we talked our last inning as we look at our tweet of the game. Do you agree with the Mets' decision to shut Harvey down? Tweet us at SNYTV with the hashtag SNYMets. We were talking about Hamels and the fact that in the Phillies championship run in 08, if you go all the way, he threw 262 innings. So does that mean that if the Mets are good next year and are in the pennant race and make the postseason, that Harvey won't be able to go that far?
Well, I think you're going to have to push him. I believe you have to push him. But the argument could be made that Hamels next season, what did he do? He struggled coming back that next year after 262 innings. He had a tough year.
But it didn't ruin his career.
No, it did not.
And I'm sure that Hamels would say that, you know, pitching in the postseason and being the NLCS and World Series MVP was worth it to struggle the next year.
Well, I think that the struggle probably came from the long season. Also, when you're an MVP, your responsibilities and attending these dinners and maybe not training like you had done in the past is part of that.
Franzen's on with a leadoff walk. Second walk given up by Harvey. They both come leading off innings.
I can only use myself, and I threw 208 innings, I believe, my rookie season. And I was gassed at the end. Didn't have a lot left. But throwing those 208 allowed me to throw almost 240 the next season. And then the World Series year, I mean, Dave, our stat guy, can probably get it. You know, same as Hamels, you know, in the 255, 260, 265 area that allowed me to pitch strongly into October.
Of course, what's more difficult now for pitchers compared to when you played is you've got now 2 extra rounds of the playoffs.
Yeah.
You've got that wild card game plus the division series, and if you're a front of the rotation starting pitcher, you could see pitching that wild card game and then pitching at some point in the division series and then making, you know, 2 or 3 starts in the LCS and the World Series. So you're talking about even more of a buildup of innings at a point where now pitchers are being limited to fewer innings.
Well, they use almost entirely, for most teams, 4 pitchers in the playoffs. You know, remember, I mean, you still look at it today. I started 3 games in 1986. You look at the people who have started 3 games in a World Series since then, not very many. So it still comes to pass that even the good pitchers usually make 2 starts in the World Series.
Mm-hmm. Hamels bunts the 3rd strike, foul, and he is a strikeout victim. That's 5 strikeouts for Matt Harvey. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin standing by with this game break. Trying to make it 21 straight starts for Medlin with the Braves in the victory column, and they're up 3-0 in the 6th tonight.
I asked some people from Atlanta who watch a lot of his games and said that the remarkable thing is that most pitchers come in with a couple pitches in the first couple innings. He's been throwing all 4 of his pitches, 4 strikes from pitch 1. Well, not pitch 1, but pitch 4, let's say, in the first inning. That's the kind of command he's had of all of his pitches.
Jimmy Rollins has the only Phillies hit tonight. He led off the game with a home run. 33rd time in his career he's done that. Ricky Henderson has the all-time record, 81 leadoff home runs. Do you know who's second on the list?
Leadoff home runs.
Bobby Bonds?
Nope.
So it's someone new.
It's someone active.
Okay, because Bobby Bonds was the at one time held the record, I believe.
He's active, but he's no longer a leadoff hitter. And he's having his best year in a while for a bad team. 3-0 now to Rollins.
You got me.
Former Yankee.
Oh,
Alfonso Soriano.
Oh.
54 career leadoff home runs.
That's right. Soriano used to lead off, of course.
There's a call, strike, 3-1.
That was back in the day when he stole tons of bases.
Yep. He was 40-40
yeah.
with Washington, right? Before he signed that 8-year deal with the Cubs. He really has had a good year, not just with the bat. He's also a much better outfielder than he's been in a long time.
Is he on a contract year?
No, not yet. I think he has 2 more years left on that long deal.
How can you give someone 8 years?
Pulled foul by Rollins, 3-2. Third on that list, by the way, is Craig Biggio with 53.
Where's Bobby Bonds on this? And there is the leadoff home run that Gary was just talking about.
That netting has come into play more than we thought, right?
More than Scott Hairston would like.
That's right. You know those bouncy gyms you put in the backyard for your kids when they're little? That's what it's starting to look like out there. He went up against that batting.
3-2 with Franzen at first and 1 out. Not going. And Rollins takes it high, ball 4. So 2 walks in the inning, putting Matt Harvey in jeopardy. 3 walks for the night to go with 5 strikeouts. And Dan Worthen will visit the mound for the first time. Jairus Familia, Josh Edgin get up in the Mets bullpen. Parenthetically tonight, Frank Francisco is not available. He's got a little tendonitis in his elbow, so keep that in mind as the Mets use their bullpen. What's there to like about SNY on Facebook? A chance to win $1,000 plus do over the voiceovers on the SNY commercials featuring the disgruntled sports memorabilia. It's the SNY voiceover do-over contest. Deadline September 21st. To enter, visit Facebook and like SNY today. Now Juan Pierre, who's been up twice, grounded out to the right side both times. Franz in the tie-breaking run at second, and Rollins at first with 1 out. Phillies still only have 1 hit against Harvey. And Matt misses just off the plate for ball 1.
Be curious to see how Matt rights the ship here. A little bit of trouble. Control issues. Not wild, just around the plate, just 2 walks.
And low and inside to Pierre, and it's 2-0.
Well, you got a guy up that's not a home run hitter.
Here's your AT&T trivia question for tonight. The only 3 active players to win an MVP as an outfielder.
Got to go right after Pierre here with the 2-0 count.
Yep. There you go. Only 3 active outfielders won the MVP.
Now it's 2-1 to Pierre. And he hits a double play ball to Murphy. The flip to Tejada. And the 4-6-3 double play gets Matt Harvey out of the 6th. Couple of walks. The double play takes care of that. We go to the bottom of the 6th at Citi Field. The Mets and Phils still tied at 1. Mets have the 3, 4, and 5 hitters coming up against Cole Hamels in the 6th inning. David Wright, Scott Hairston, and Ike Davis. Mets have a run on 5 hits. They wasted an opportunity in the 4th when they got the first 2 men on and couldn't score. Wright is 0 for 2 tonight, and he takes one in the dirt for ball 1. David has flied to center and taken a call 3rd strike. Just 1 hit in his last 15 at bats. His average now at .309, the lowest it's been all season. 14 games to go after tonight. And David hits one in the air in a pretty deep right center field. Back goes Mayberry near the wall. It's out of here. David Wright gives the Mets the lead with his 18th home run of the year. Wright takes Hamels deep for the 4th time, and the Mets go in front for the first time tonight. It's 2-1.
Fastball right down the middle and down, and David showing that power to the opposite field.
18 home runs. He goes back into the lead among the Mets with 82 RBIs. He'd been tied with Ike Davis.
I believe that went over the E in the Xerox sign.
How can you be sure? Scott Hairston, who doubled off the fence his last time up.
Well, we'll take a look at it. Nice swing by David. Hamels' reaction. He's a cool customer.
Southern California. Oh, and Hairston gets drilled.
Been pitching him in all night long.
Good job by Scotty here. Just go to first base.
Boy, right in the back.
Certainly see by Hamels' reaction, there's no intent there.
Well, they can be ham actors too, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think
he didn't want to hit him, but he wanted to send a message.
Harrison can put a little hurt on him by stealing a base right here.
Only the 3rd batter Hamels has hit this season. So the Mets with a runner at first and nobody out, and Ike Davis the batter. Ike had an infield hit off Hamels' glove his last time up, 1 for 2. Hairston with 7 steals this year in 9 tries. And Ike lifts one to shallow center. On comes Mayberry with those long strides. Not quite Gary Maddox. Here's tonight's box score presented by Hospital for Special Surgery. Ruben Tejada with a stolen base scored the first Met run on Daniel Murphy's hit. Wright's home run has just given the Mets their first lead tonight. For Matt Harvey, who's allowed just 1 hit over the first 6 innings. Jeremy Horst is the left-hander, and Justin DeFreitas the right-hander in the Philadelphia bullpen. When you got the 79s in the bullpen, you know it's September.
Yeah.
Or March.
I don't know if you guys were nostalgic in that home run by Wright, but I know we're at Citi Field, but that reminded me of so many of the home runs that he seemed to get at Shea Stadium. Those home runs that would disappear over that blue fence in right center field.
If you order a hot dog from him, will he stop barking?
I think, well, how many more games left in this homestand?
Got 7 more after
7?
tonight.
I have 4 of them. No.
No, 8 more after tonight.
I have
there
3
goes
of them.
Hairston.
Got
He's
him.
picked off. The throw by Howard, not in time. Hairston beat the tag by Rollins. 8th stolen base of the year for Hairston.
There'll be a bigger sense of emergency from Howard, isn't there?
Howard just is not quick moving. So this is just like a 1 and a 2, and we're not there. That's quick. He could have called him out.
Tony Randazzo, the second base umpire.
Oh boy, that's close. I'll tell you what, September, if I'm my second base umpire, I'll give him out.
Scott very happy that Keith's not the second base umpire. 1-1 to Shopik, who's 0 for 2, flied out and struck out.
It's a tie base, goes to the runner. Can't tell. Oh boy, I tell you, that's a close one.
Certainly surprised Rollins.
Well, there used to be a day on that play, if you were caught, picked off, you're automatically out at second base.
Right.
If anything close.
So Hairston in scoring position with 1 out. And Shopik ignores the cutter. 2-1. Here's the good changeup by Hamels, 2-2.
Little change up here, Keith, away.
Got some sink in it too. Late sink.
That's our guy. You know, the more we show him, the more he barks.
Yeah,
you realize that.
It's becoming a problem.
Might need to move him. Here's the 2-2 on the inside corner, and Shopik out on strikes for the second time. Hamels with 10 strikeouts, matching his season high.
Fastball in, always a good pitch when head to count.
Change up away, fastball in, paint.
Paint your wagon. Oh, for Bob. Walking ball back there, the big strike zone. We like it. Bobby. That's too close to take.
So 2 out. Hairston still at second, and now Lucas Duda, who twice has been caught looking tonight. Hamels about to throw his 100th pitch of the night here in the 6th inning. Throw by Ruiz, and Hairston gets back. Ruiz going for the makeup call from Randazzo.
Under control. Back easily. Nice aggressive lead by Hairston. Those, and I don't want to stereotype, but it's always been Latin catchers have great arms and they love to show them off. They love to try to pick people off. They love to throw, like to throw to first base behind the runner, second base. Tony Pena comes to mind with one.
Benito Santiago.
Oh, they love to throw.
Yadier Molina. All the Molinas.
That's right.
Even Gustavo. 0-2 to Duda with 2 out. And Lucas pulls his head back.
That's a good pitch right there. 0-2.
Second game in Washington. The Dodgers, who are in desperate need of a split after losing the first game, lead the Nats 6-0. That's John Lannon for Washington getting beat up. Nats' magic number is down to 9. So the Dodgers have a whole lot more to play for in that game than the Nats do. Josh Beckett pitching for LA. The Dodgers, with that first game loss, fell 2 games behind the Cardinals in the wild card.
Cardinals are up 2-0 very early at home against Houston.
David Freese has his 20th home run.
Boy, he's been wearing it out.
2-2 to Duda, and it's off the plate, and so Lucas runs a full count. There are the wild card standings up to the moment. The Brewers and Pirates are playing each other again tonight. Milwaukee's up 2-0 in the 6th. Pirates have yet to score in that series.
Good chance to Duda get a change up here on a 3-2 count with Torres on deck.
Let's answer our AT&T trivia question. 3 active outfielders who've won MVPs.
Bronze won last season.
Josh Hamilton and Ichiro.
Yeah, it took us a while to figure that Ichiro out. We all got Josh Hamilton quickly, and we just forgot about Ryan Braun. It was last year, for crying out loud.
And Braun putting himself in contention for another as Duda takes the changeup for ball 4. First walk of the night issued by Hamels. By the way, speaking of MVPs, you see what Miguel Cabrera's doing?
Yeah.
He's leading in average, leading in RBIs, and only 2 home runs behind Josh Hamilton after hitting 2 last night. He hasn't been a Triple Crown winner in baseball since 1967. And Cabrera's making a run.
Well, coming in tonight, 40 home runs, 129 RBI for Cabrera. He probably has damage tonight, too, knowing him.
He's quite a hitter.
And the Tigers need every win right now. 3 back in the division, 5.5 back in the wild card. Here's Torres with 2 out and 2 on. Takes a curveball for a strike.
I must say, Ronnie, I've seen Hamels now. I haven't seen all of his 21 starts, most of his 21 starts against the Mets. This is the best I've seen his stuff.
Yeah.
As far as velocity on his fastball, command, and he may lose.
So Josh Edgin up in the bullpen, but Matt Harvey is out on deck to bat for himself.
Well, I think what you like that you're seeing, Keith, is that Hamels now has evolved into the complete pitcher.
Yep.
You know, he's a guy that, he's got 95-mile-an-hour gift, but he uses all of his other pitches. He's got each pitch is connected to the next pitch. Set you up with a 0-2 changeup away. He can go back with it. He can go upstairs with a fastball, paint you in. I mean, he just has so many options to put you away.
Hairston and Duda, the base runners, with 2 out. Hamels almost certainly working his last inning. And Torres keeps the at-bat alive. Well, Ronnie mentioned this earlier. Nobody has won more games in the National League since his debut than Cole Hamels has.
It's interesting that Bronson Arroyo's in that list. I know he never gets hurt, Arroyo, but you don't give him enough credit.
Do when he faces the Mets.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, you're right.
Throws his glove out there against him. Torres floats one to Utley, and that retires the side. But the Mets grab the lead. David Wright leads off the bottom of the 6th inning with his 18th home run of the year as he takes Cole Hamels deep to right center.
Let's give Matt Harvey his first lead, 2-1 as we go to the 7th at Citi Field. The Phillies batting order, Utley, Howard, and Ruiz. Well, as the season has wound down, we've been looking at the present and the future of each individual Met, and tonight we look at Lucas Duda, and it has been an up and down year for Duda. At age 26, what should have been his first full year in the big leagues wound up being minor league interrupted. So how would you assess what we've seen from Lucas so far this year and how it portends for the future?
Well, if you were giving a grade, it would have to be an incomplete. You got sent down, struggled. He's still finding his way. There's talk of he might be at first base. He might stay out in the outfield. I like the fact that he's become a little more aggressive. I don't buy the fact that he was playing right field, that it affected his hitting, and that he was trying to hit too many home runs. I mean, when you got a young kid in the big leagues trying to find his way, Ronnie, I don't want to put that burden on him where you ask him to hit home runs. You just want that will come later with success.
Become a good hitter first, and then things will come in the power department.
And we've seen him have stretches both last year and this year where he has been a good hitter, where he has used the whole field, hit left-handers. The question is, can he do that consistently?
What did you say Tommy McGraw said about power hitters? It takes
4 years.
4 years. The one thing that you didn't see from Lucas, if you wanted to analyze his season, is that you heard it from Terry Collins when he was not the manager before that, when he was down in the minor leagues, that Lucas had power to all fields, had the ability, as Keith said, to hit it to all fields. Well, you certainly didn't see any of that this season.
Well, and another thing, too, I know home runs are... Everybody loves the home run. I really don't care how Lucas does it, but Lucas is a guy that doesn't run that well, so he's going to have to be productive. 90 RBIs from him early this stage. I don't care how he gets it. If he gets it with 25 home runs or he gets it with 15 or 12, but he's got to drive in 90 runs to be effective. He goes in the outfield. It's a new position for him there. Doesn't cover a lot of ground, so he's really got to be an offensive force.
Dave Hudgens told me, guys, that when Duda is right, when everything is perfect, what he really wants to see is just line drive power up the middle of the field. He said that's what I want to see. Keith, what you're saying, as Murphy down on his knees will handle this chance from Utley, one away. Exactly the same thing. He said, hey, the power from him will come, but I want to see the line drives gap to gap up the middle of the field. He said, there's a thing that I want him to work on in the offseason. We've started to integrate it, but it's a lot while the season's going on. Sometimes what gets him in trouble is, he has that toe tap and that leg kick, and he says he gets it down a little late, and then his hip flies open a little bit. So we're trying to get him to get that done a little bit earlier so his hip doesn't fly open. But that's something that I want him to work on in the offseason. I asked him, it's hard to ever compare somebody or what somebody can be, but I said, give me a goal. What is a guy that he could be like, maybe? He brought out the name Jason Giambi, and I said, why? He said, because I think he has the ability to have that kind of strike zone discipline, to be that selective and that good of a hitter.
Of course, Giambi was a guy who in its heyday hit over 300, had on base percentage is about 450, so that's a lofty goal.
Well, that's 100+ walks a season.
Right.
Kevin, you made a really interesting point there as we see Familia and Justin Hampson up in the bullpen. Familia up again. Made a very interesting comment there, is that when everything is going right, Duda can do this or that. I really judge players in the major leagues. What are you doing when you're in your toughest streaks? When you are cooled off a little bit, can you have a 1-for-3 day with a walk and drive and a run? Those are the things that impress me.
Antonio Bastardo up in the Phillies bullpen, 2-0 to Howard, and he takes a strike. Well, of course, the other piece is that sometime after the season ends, there's going to be a conference room filled with Mets officials deciding whether Lucas Duda's future is as an outfielder or as a first baseman. I guess the question I would ask the two of you is there any chance that his future is as an outfielder?
Yes, certainly. Flip a coin. 50-50. 50-50. That's my feeling here. We've talked about this, and I just don't. I just think there's not anybody out here that is not going to be thrown out there to the other general managers and see what they can come up with.
Howard down on strikes. 6 strikeouts for Matt Harvey.
Well, I'll tell you, when they fill that room and are talking about all the Mets players, we won't have a lot of discussion about Matt Harvey. They know where he belongs, what he's going to do, and where he'll be in 2013 for Terry Collins' squad.
Well, this is probably Matt's final inning of the season, and this may be his final batter of the season. He's pitched brilliantly tonight, gave up a leadoff home run to Jimmy Rollins, and since then just 3 base runners, all on walks. Ruiz has walked and fly to center, and he swings and misses, 0-1.
Nice slider.
Best one all night.
Nice.
How about your best slider comes in the 7th inning? That's impressive. Razor blade.
It's not a strike, but as the new terminology, as Ronnie just said, razor blade means it's a late, sharp, tight break.
And he gets ahead with the fastball, and now it's 0-2.
And that's 97 up and in. I love that pitch to right-hand hitters.
Gary, you talked about, he said he feels 100% in great physical form right now at this point in the season. I think he's sending a message right here in this inning. 97, plenty left.
Now the 0-2 to Ruiz. Upstairs. 111 pitches now for Harvey. 98 miles an hour, trying to finish with a flourish. This is a career high pitch count for Harvey.
Ouch.
And a Cholula to boot.
That's too hot for my omelet.
1-2. Strike 3 call. Matt Harvey finishes his rookie season with back-to-back strikeouts. 7 strikeouts for Harvey. And the crowd here at Citi Field appreciative of what they've seen from 23-year-old Matt Harvey in his rookie season, which has now come to a fitting close. Congratulations all around. 2-1 Mets in the 7th. Come to a close. Matt will finish his year with a 2.73 ERA, and he closes it out with a gem, allowing just one hit in 7 innings.
Boy, that was impressive. I mean, 98, 97, razor blade, toughness, pitching in a close game against a team that really needs a win. Impressive.
Antonio Bastardo comes on to relieve Cole Hamels as we go to the bottom of the 7th.
Well, he hasn't had the same year as he did last year when he was almost perfect, but still 72 punch-outs and 46 2/3 innings for Bastardo.
Ronnie Cedeno will be the pinch hitter batting for Harvey, leading off against Bastardo in the 7th. Mets lead 2-1 on the strength of David Wright's leadoff home run against Hamels in the 6th. Hamels had not lost a game in his last 7 starts. He certainly pitched well enough tonight. 2 runs and 6 hits over 6 innings, a walk, 10 strikeouts, a hit batsman, and that home run. Cedeno at 270 on the year. Tejada and Murphy to follow. Rubin swings over that one, 1-1. For Hamels, it was his 3rd double-digit strikeout game of the year, and 2 of the 3 have come against the Mets. But the Mets in line to beat Hamels for the first time this year.
Oh boy, I got Chooch
Right in the chest.
almost under the throat.
That'd be weird for Chooch, right? Here's a guy that if it wasn't for Yadier Molina, he would be the Gold Glove catcher every season. But Molina owns that award.
I'll tell you what's amazing is the offensive years that the 3 premier catchers in the league are having this year. Posey, Molina, and Ruiz have all had extraordinary years. I mean, Posey to the point where he might be the MVP of the league.
Well, what he's done in the second half is impressive. His on-base percentage is over .450 in the second half. Posey's.
I mean, normally you have 1 or 2 guys around the league who are dominant offensive players as catchers. But it's not often you have 3 guys, and in the case of Molina and Ruiz, outstanding defensive catchers who put up these kinds of numbers. Three-2 from Bastardo, and Cedeno strikes out. That's the first out in the bottom of the 7th. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Hain Celestial. Join the Mets in support of Feeding the Big Apple, presented by Hain Celestial this Friday at Citi Field, and help fight hunger in New York City by bringing canned goods to the ballpark.
Well, you're talking about Posey. 3rd in the league in hitting at 333. 8th in RBI with 93. He's going to drive in 100 probably. Slugging percentage 542. That's 4th.
And on a team that is so desperate for offense on a night-to-night basis.
On-base percentage, Ronnie, you mentioned his second half. It's 409 for the year. And that's 2nd.
And handling that great pitching staff in San Francisco as well. Daniel Murphy, who drove in the first Met run, waiting on deck.
You know, we were talking about confidence and cockiness and stars, and he has been a quiet, great player from the second he got in the major leagues.
And we've talked a lot this year about Ike Davis and his return from missing most of the season last year because of serious injury. Look what Posey's done after missing more than half the year last year.
He's turned it up a notch this season.
You just never see these numbers against. He's leading the league in hitting, Buster Posey, against left-handers. A .415 average against left-handers. Wow, that's a wicked Strato card.
And that's in a division with Clayton Kershaw. So a lot of those at bats are against him.
We had a game yet where you play Strato during the game?
No, I haven't gotten around to it this year. I got away from playing, but I think this off season I'll get back into it. I got to figure out what season I want to play.
Here's what you should do. Should play the 69 Mets against the 86 Mets.
Well, hopefully we'll get that done. I got the cards here, you know. I got both lineups. I mean, both rosters.
Great pitching on both sides as Tejada goes down on strikes. Back-to-back strikeouts for Bastardo. I think you guys might have them in firepower, though.
Well, I tell you what, we'll go ahead with your Cadillac around the majors.
Thank you very much. Chris Medlin trying to make it 21 straight victories for the Braves when he starts. They're up on the Marlins 3-0 in the ninth. Justin Verlander, must-win game for the Tigers. They're up 4-0 on the A's as they go to the seventh. And Hanley Ramirez 3 RBIs as the Dodgers in the second game of the doubleheader leading the Nats 6-0 in the sixth after Washington won the first game 3-1. Here's Murphy, who's 1 for 3, and he takes a slider for a strike.
Well, my friend Steve Barkin at Stratomatic texted me this afternoon before the game that he played the 86-69 Mets, and we won out in 7.
7?
We split the first 2 games, and Ronnie, you and Ojeda won of 6 and 7.
So who won the game between Seaver
Sid
and Doc?
won 7. Seaver and Kuzman won. They were up. We were down 3-1. And we came back and won.
So Seaver beat Doc.
Yes. I'm not well. He didn't give me the whole rundown. I know that Seaver and Kuzman won 4 and 5. Ojeda and Ronnie Ronnie won a game. Ojeda won a game. Sid won game 7.
Nice. Now, did Sid start?
I don't know. I didn't get the details.
He didn't start in that series.
I'll have the details for you next time. I'm off tomorrow, by the way, so pick me up, guys.
Wait a second.
I'm on the DL.
Weren't you supposed to work last night? Right? You were here last night.
Yes.
And tomorrow is the makeup from last night.
I know, but I don't make the rules.
Wow.
I got the flyer from Mr. Gowdy. I'm not going to argue with him.
Ronnie, we need his deal.
That's exactly. I'm chomping at the bit. I really wish I could be with you.
We could always make arrangements. 1 and 2 to Murphy. Bastardo has struck out the first 2 in the inning. And he throws that one out of the strike zone. 2 and 2. Milwaukee leading Pittsburgh 3-0 in the seventh. If the Pirates lose tonight, they're down to 500.
Boy, free fall.
And in danger of that 20th straight losing season.
I don't wish that on them. I was hoping that they'd finish at least above 500 if they were out of the wild card.
Well, the Mets might have something to do with that. They play the Pirates 4 times next week. Bobby Parnell up in the Mets bullpen, ready to relieve Matt Harvey. Harvey gave up a leadoff home run to Jimmy Rollins and not a hit after that over 7 innings. What a way to finish. That just missed. 3 and 2. It certainly gives you tremendous hope for Matt looking ahead to next year.
Well, it's just going to give him great confidence in his workouts, and I think it's going to let him know, every day when you work out this winter, you're going to be, you know what, I belong there. I'm going to have a big year next year, and it's always great to have a stretch before you begin your full season that you know you belong there.
And that just misses to Murphy, and a 2-out walk.
Well, there comes Charlie Manuel. These games are too important for the Phillies.
Pitching change coming for the Phillies. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon Wireless. Win Mets memorabilia from Verizon at Mets.com/Verizon Sweeps. 2-1 Mets in the seventh. We'll be right back. Tyler Cloyd goes for the Phils. Couple of rookie right-handers going head-to-head. Your city probables. 6:30 the coverage tomorrow night here on SNY. Justin DeFreitas makes his 7th appearance for the Phillies.
Well, it's been a difficult year for DeFreitas. He started the season on the disabled list. He had an elbow sprain and finally activated in mid-July.
Comes in to face David Wright, who homered to give the Mets the lead his last time up, and he takes a breaking ball for a strike. David's home run was his 18th of the year. He now has 82 RBIs, one more than Ike Davis for the club lead, and now just 5 hits behind Ed Kranepool for the franchise record. And DeFreitas moves him back.
Well, this is the difference in the ball game right here. Number 18 for David on the season. Fastball that wanted to get away and got over the middle, and David made him pay.
Murphy with a nice swan dive. Murphy's stolen 7 bases this year. Mets have 2 steals tonight. Tejada and Hairston.
Well, Murph just gets as big a lead as you're going to see by someone who never runs. I mean, he really does. He gets a huge lead out there.
7 stolen bases on the year, caught twice. Murph just likes to be on the edge.
Yeah, Wright fouls back the slider 1-2. Scott Hairston would be next. Bastardo faced 3 batters, struck out the first 2, and then walked Murphy. Jeremy Horst, the left-hander, ready for Ike Davis if his spot comes up this inning. Now DeFreitas ahead 1-2. And Wright fouls back that fastball.
Shows me something that this youngster comes in, can throw a slider for a strike, and is not afraid to throw that running fastball, sinking fastball in on David's hands.
In his major league career, and that covers a couple of years, opponents have hit just 3 hits and 31 at bats against him. So when he's been healthy and pitching at this level, he's been successful. Now the 1-2, and David grounds that one foul down to Tim Tuffle. Who's he going to choose?
Well, usually trying to throw that to a kid, but doesn't always make it there.
Or at least a parent with a kid.
Or Mets jersey.
Gary, is that Sabathia in that second game for the Yankees?
No, that's Phelps started.
David Phelps.
Okay.
Pettit in the first game.
They are 1-1 in the 8th now. After the Yankees won the afternoon game. 5 scoreless for Andy Pettit.
Unbelievable.
Coming back from broken ankle.
That is a shot in the arm for the Yankees.
82 days. No minor league games, especially in September. There are no minor league games. A couple of simulated starts. That's it.
Again, the 1-2. Murphy runs, and David grounds one foul. Meanwhile, the Orioles, who pulled into a virtual tie with the Yankees last night, will be in Seattle tonight after playing 18 innings, 5 hours and 44 minutes to win last night. They've won 14 straight extra inning games. The Orioles have the longest streak since the 1949 Cleveland Indians.
Yeah, they're 14-2. They lost their first 2 of the season, and now 14 straight.
18 innings, though, is that's above and beyond. Matt Wieters caught all 18 last night for the Orioles.
Oh,
Wonder if
wow.
he'll be in there tonight. Swing and a miss. David's out on strikes. That's 13 strikeouts for Phillies pitching tonight, including 3 in that inning. Parnell on in relief for the Mets as we go to the 8th, 2-1 New York. The first off Matt Harvey, who's now done, so it takes us back to the Toyota tweet of the game. Do you agree with the Mets' decision to shut Matt Harvey down for the rest of the year? Sports Girl says smart to save one of our best arms for next year. Katamari, or is it Katamari, says with the Mets in the situation they're in, it can't hurt, protect the arm and get the most out of him next year.
Very conservative tweetster.
Bobby Parnell will pitch the 8th inning for New York.
Parnell's had an ERA of 2.25 since June 14th. ERA now under 3 for the season.
Dominic Brown leads off in the 8th inning for the Phillies, and he takes the low and away for ball 1. Well, these last 2 innings are of utmost importance to Philadelphia. They put themselves behind the 8 ball when they lost 3 out of 4 in Houston before coming to New York. And they can ill afford any kind of loss right now, as Parnell gets even on Brown 1-1. Phillies started the night 4 games behind the Cardinals in the National League wild card race, and the Cardinals lead their game 3-0 over Houston in the 5th inning. Yadier Molina has his 20th home run in that game. Brown, then Mayberry and Franzen, 6, 7, and 8 in the order for the Phillies in the 8th. Well, the man of the night, Matt Harvey. His season is done, but he's standing by with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Matt, after you got Ruiz, you knew that was your last pitch of this year. You had a nice slow walk. Did you take it in? What were you thinking on the way to the dugout there?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I didn't really know what to say or feel. It was pretty exciting. You know, I kind of got chills after I was walking off, and yeah, I knew I was done. So, you know, obviously I want to keep going, but you know, it's not my call, and I was happy to keep the team within winning distance.
How does your body feel right now?
Feels awesome. Really good. Kind of surprising how, you know, after 170 innings or whatever it is, I'm still feeling really good, really strong.
I know, I'm sure you understand what the organization's doing, but did you have any say at all in terms of whether you could keep pitching, or is pretty much they said, hey, this is it for you?
No, it was them. I mean, obviously if they'd asked me, I probably would have fought it till my face turned blue, but you know, that's not my decision, and whatever they decide, I'm fine with, and just get ready for next year.
What did you learn about yourself in these 10 starts?
Just keep battling and learn and pick up on each hitter and really pay attention to their tendencies and they do a great job here. Dan going over the hitters before games, and Shopik was awesome tonight, especially, and has been for the last however many games he's caught me. It seems like almost every one, but it's just been a lot of fun.
When you have a night like tonight, you go through, you allow just the one hit to open the game. Did you feel real good in the bullpen? And if so, after you allow that home run, that one hit, is it hard to keep telling yourself, hey, I felt good, let's get back on track?
Yeah, nobody likes to go 1-0 on the first hitter, so I knew it was going to be a long game, and I wanted to be out there as long as possible, and I just had to pound the zone. I knew the defense was right behind me making every play, and I was fortunate enough to do that.
1 out, 1 on as we talked to Matt Harvey, made his final start tonight. Matt, when you came up, obviously you had that electric debut in Arizona, and then there was talk about Dan and Terry saying, hey, we want Matt to use the changeup and use your secondary stuff. Do you feel like through 10 starts you found a good balance between your fastball and using the change and the curveball and the slider? Yeah,
absolutely. Tonight it was fastball changeup mostly. I was able to mix them in and throw them for a strike, and that helped me a lot. And, I was getting those good ground balls over to Murph and Ike, and they made every play. I can't say anything other than that. I tried to throw as many strikes as I could, and they made all the plays. What will your off-season regimen be now? Is there a certain period of rest before you get back in the horse and start to work out? I don't want to, but I'm sure they're probably going to force that a little bit. So we'll see. I like to keep my body in shape every day and do whatever I can. You were in spring training this year, so you obviously got a taste of that before you got up here. But how much did this experience, these 10 starts, help you? How much will it help you going into next season? Well, there's still a lot of work to do. A lot of the starts were 5-6 innings, and for me that's unacceptable. And more of 7-8 innings is what I'm going to work for. And going into the off season, it'll be doing everything I can to pound the zone and get early outs, like I've said, and stay longer in the game. Matt, congratulations on the effort all this year. Hopefully the Mets can go finish this off and get you a win here on your final start. We'll be all right. We've got a good defense in there. So. Matt, thanks. Guys, back to you.
Nice stop by Shopik to save a base as Murphy airmails the throw on the attempted double play. The interview with Matt Harvey brought to you about the Xerox business of baseball. Xerox, ready for real business. And you watch that interview and you listen to Matt and you talk to Matt yourselves and you say, is he really 23 years old? Because he really sounds so much older.
Yeah, he's just a calm, cool, and collected kind of guy. And he's also, what I heard in Kevin's interview, he's pretty proud of what he did in these 10 starts, and he should be. Very impressive.
Well, he'll finish his year either 3-5 or 4-5, depending what happens these next 2 innings, with a 2.73 ERA, which certainly compares very favorably with what some of the great pitchers in Mets history have accomplished in their first 10 starts. Lance Nix, the pinch hitter for the Phillies, with 2 out.
When you look at all the great pitchers in Mets history, almost all of them, to a man's record after 10 starts, was around the 500 mark. Some of the highlights for Tom Seaver, he had a shutout in his first 10 starts. Philip Beaumont is warming up. He had a shutout in his first 10 starts, but he also pitched a 10-inning game where he gave up no runs and had a no decision. Jerry Koosman had 2 shutouts in his 10 starts. I think the most impressive as far as power and strength was Dwight Gooden, who in 1984 in his rookie season, first 10 starts, had 10 double-digit strikeout games. And I think the guy you and I mentioned, the one that had the good one-loss record in his first 10 starts was Jason Isringhausen, who was 6-2 in his first 10. So some of the great young pitchers that have come up, that have come from the system, have shown early signs of being great. So has Matt in these 10 starts.
Parnell ahead on Nix 0-2. And he goes down swinging on the high fastball. And Parnell gets the Mets through the top of the 8th. Couple of strikeouts for Bobby. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Mets looking for some assurance, leading 2-1.
walks, that is bad. So the key for Philippe is his ability to keep it in the strike zone. He gets ahead of you, you are going to be out. He just has a wipeout slider.
It'll be Hairston, Davis, and Shopik due up for the Mets in the bottom of the 8th. But of more concern for Terry Collins right now is the top of the 9th. As we mentioned earlier, Frank Francisco has some elbow tendonitis and is not available tonight. Now in the last inning, the Mets had Roush and Edgin up. Phillies will have the top of the batting order coming up. That means Rollins, Pierre, and then the 2 big left-handed bats of Utley and Howard. So how do you figure Terry's going to try and go about it?
Well, usually in these circumstances, you let your second in command out there in the bullpen, which has been John Roush all season long, have the chance. You have Familia down there. You could give him a shot. I think Edgin's going to play a role in that inning.
Certainly with those big left-handed bats coming up as Hairston takes ball 1. Now, Familia was up twice earlier in the game, and considering his lack of experience as a relief pitcher, would that preclude him from being used in the 9th?
I think so. Remember what Terry Collins says. If he's got a young pitcher up there that's gotten up 2 or 3 times, it's almost like an outing for him.
Hairston takes a fastball for a strike. Scott barely missed a home run in the 4th inning, hit one high off the wall in left center for a double, then was hit in the back by a pitch from Cole Hamels in the 6th and stole a base. That's with their second look at Oman. He pitched an inning against them in Philadelphia last month and throws that 96-mile-an-hour fastball by Hairston 1-2.
You know, the other thing you could think about, Gary and Keith, is that, you know, Rollins is not the same hitter from the right side that he is from the left side. Only 3 of his 22 home runs have come from the right side. He's hitting about 228, 230 or so from the right side. You could turn him around if you wanted to.
Just trying to have Edgin pitch the whole inning.
Yeah.
Then. Of course, you're not likely to see Pierre then. You'd probably see Ty Wigginton or the big guy Darren Ruff, big minor league home run hitter they called up.
Well, the way the season's gone, any way you can keep Wigginton off the field for the Mets is the key.
Ty has just killed the Mets every time he's had the opportunity this season. And Hairston grounds one toward the hole, a base hit. Second hit of the night for Scott Hairston, and the Mets looking for some insurance, have the leadoff man on in the bottom of the 8th. Hit number 7 for New York. And now Ike Davis, who's 1 for 3, gets to face a right-hander for the first time tonight. Well, the Chris Medlin show rolls on. Braves beat the Marlins tonight 3-0. Medlin went 8, allowed 4 hits. Kimbrel finished it off with a save. Braves have won 21 straight games now that Medlin has started. He's now 9-1 on the year. Ike swings and misses. Thought he had held up. And Bob Davison said he went around. I was a little stunned to see all the talk in the newspapers today and the comments that Ike was forced to make about reports that kind of disparaged his character a little bit, and where they came from, I have no idea. Hairston runs, hits it up the middle, and Ike has a base hit. Hairston going to third as Mayberry fields it, and the Mets have runners at the corners with nobody out. Davis with his second hit of the night.
Some aggressive baseball here by the Mets. Nice hitting by Ike.
Well, you see the defense right here. You got to play Ike the pull. You see the shortstop up the middle, but you can't cover that. Nice Olay by the umpire. That was Tony Randazzo.
Anyway, these, you know, the report, which I guess first surfaced on ESPN.com, was quoting a quote baseball source that said that Ike was out too late and that he wasn't coachable, and you know where that stuff comes from I don't know, but it puts Ike in an untenable position trying to defend himself, which I thought he did eloquently in his quotes, but it's a very strange thing to be coming out at this time of the year.
I was stunned to see the article this morning when I picked up the Post, and you know the game has changed so much, and both on and off the field. You know, I wonder if something like that comes out if Ike's hitting 300 and has 20 RBIs with the 27 home runs, if something like that. But obviously this leaked from somewhere. It just didn't pop out of nowhere and drop into a writer's lap. Someone had to had to give the information. And you can get on a player where he's doing with the press or if he's on the field. But I was not happy with the article, with the whole tenor of everything. I just think it's inappropriate.
I agree. I think it's nonsense, and it's really says a lot more about the folks who would leak or even talk about something that private. And if you had a concern for your player, wouldn't you want to set in action something that might help him, as opposed to leak something to the papers? And it just makes it more difficult for the player press relationship.
Well, the thing that makes the least sense, if it did come from the Mets organization, from anybody in the Mets organization, and we have no idea who made the comments in the first place, is if you did want to trade Ike Davis, why in the world would you run down his trade value by disparaging him like that? It just doesn't make any sense. And if you don't want to trade him, it still makes no sense.
I'm a fan of Ike. He's got a little personality. As you look at this team and the many question marks that it might have to look at, boy, he's less of a problem than most as far as his production on the field.
Infield in for Kelly Shopik, first and third and nobody out. And the 1-2 struck him out with a slider. So Almont gets the first out. Third time Shopik's been struck out tonight. That's 14 strikeouts for Phillies pitching.
Here comes Charlie. Too big a game. Going to bring in a left-hander.
He's got that wipeout slider, doesn't he, Almont?
Very tough on right-handers.
Now with Lucas Duda coming up, they'll bring the left-hander into the game. Mets looking for some insurance in the eighth as Jeremy Horst comes in. We'll be right back.
Strikeout numbers, low ERA, 28 punch-outs in 23 2/3 innings, and right-handers and left-handers have had a tough time against Jeremy.
Very interestingly, Terry Collins is going to send Justin Turner up to bat for Lucas Duda, and the only reason I say it's strange is that Terry's committed to playing Lucas every day, and he started him against one of the toughest left-handers in the game tonight in Cole Hamels, but he's pinch hitting for him here against Jeremy Horst.
And you also don't, you need a fly ball. It's not like you need a base hit. You have a runner on third. Outfield deep. Double play depth in the middle.
So Turner, the pinch hitter, hitting at .278 for the year. Trying to pick up Hairston from third, and he takes inside from Horst for ball one. Justin's numbers with runners in scoring position have cooled down. Andres Torres waiting on deck. Turner now at .308 this year with runners in scoring position. And Horst falls behind him with a breaking ball, 2-0. So Horst in immediate trouble behind on Turner, 2-0, and he checks in on Davis, who's not going anywhere. By the way, a note on Matt Harvey tonight: gave up a leadoff home run and then no other hits over 7 innings. First pitcher in Mets history ever to do that.
Wow.
Give up a leadoff home run and then no other hits for at least 7 innings.
Really?
He's had a few first evers in his very brief major league career.
It's just amazing how I'm sure did we mine that from Elias?
It's from the brain of Dave Freed.
Dave,
I don't know who he got it
Dave,
from.
you got nothing better to do. Why don't you go home?
Don't tempt him. He'll be heading off to some football game before you know it.
It's just amazing all the information at your fingertips.
Ooh, Turner's swinging 3-0. What were the chances of that?
I like it. Why not?
Big
fastball up.
Turner's got a big leg kick. I don't mind leg kicks. I really don't. Well, they all want the toe tapping, but I have no issue with a leg kick. I saw a right fielder, Darryl Strawberry, do it for a long time.
And that's outside for ball 4, so Turner draws the walk. Now you got the switch hitting Torres coming up. Much better right-hand hitter than left. So will Charlie Manuel make another move? Apparently not. So Torres will get to face the lefty. They've got Josh Lindblom ready in the bullpen.
It's hard to bring Lindblom in. He has a lot of walks on the season.
Right.
No place to put him.
Gets little Archie Bell in these situations.
So a chance for Torres with the bases loaded and 1 out. Archie Bell and
the drills.
Who did
the tighten up.
Thank you. The infield most of the way in against Torres, and Andres takes a strike. Torres tonight 0 for 3.
Well, the Phillies have to be halfway, and the middle infielders, a slow roller, they can't give up a run here. They've only got one more crack at it next half inning.
And Torres punches one foul, and Horst quickly ahead 0-2. Jason Bay has come out on deck to pinch hit for the pitcher. That's got the first 2 men on, Hairston and Davis with back-to-back hits. Shopik struck out. Turner walked as a pinch hitter. Now Torres takes a borderline pitch that just missed, and it's 1-2. '26-year-old Jeremy Horst, born in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Not too many of those in the major leagues. Right at the second baseman, Utley with the flip, and Rollins turns the double play, and Horst gets the Phillies out of it. 4-6-3 double play. The Mets do not score in the 8th, and they'll carry a 1-run lead into the 9th. vitamins on tonight as well, because tonight the Mets are drawing awareness to breast health on Breast Health Awareness Night here at Citi Field. A very important cause for all men and women, and certainly the Mets have done a great job of drawing attention to a very important cause.
Well, I thought it was a real touching scene before the game. We had a lot of the folks that have been touched by cancer out in the outfield and standing on the field, and it was a really nice touch to see them out there, and also a nice touch by the Mets to have this night.
Well, one thing the Mets do here, the organization, they support a lot of charities and lots of people that stuff like this today, which I think is just absolutely necessary. So well done.
Well, Josh Edgin will get a chance for his first major league save with Frank Francisco unavailable.
Well, it's just this is a great chance for Josh Edgin, a chance to turn Jimmy Rollins around. We were talking, he hit 228 from that right side. Most of his power comes as a left-handed hitter.
Rollins tonight has had the only hit against Matt Harvey, a leadoff home run in the first inning. Phillies have had just 2 hits all night. And Rollins takes a strike, 1-1. Elvin Ramirez, John Roush stay busy in the bullpen. Ty Wigginton has come out on deck to bat for Juan Pierre for the Phillies. And the 1-1 from Edgin, a slider in on his hands, and he has no choice but to hit that ball foul. Might have broken his thumbs.
I would say that Edgin's probably feeling right now exactly like he felt on that Atlanta night when he came in for his first appearance.
I'm glad they got him in this situation.
Yeah. How are you going to know?
Well, the Mets have been thrilled with what they've gotten from their 2 young left-handed relievers, Edgin and Robert Carson. And Rollins gets all tied in a knot and strikes out for the first out of the ninth.
That was nasty. Nasty slider from Edgin.
Let's check in with the studio, see what's coming up on WB Mason Postgame Live. Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda, guys. All right, guys. Well, Dan Warthen is coming out with a message that Edgin has heard more than once this year, and that message is, don't let the right-hand batter beat you. Ty Wigginton coming up to pinch hit. He's got Utley and Howard behind him.
Well, hopefully he didn't say it in that way. I think that with a 1-run game at 2-1, I think the scouting report is given. This is what Wigginton, his home run pitch is middle of the plate in. He likes to pull the baseball, less power the opposite way. Keep the ball down. He's a high ball hitter, and try to keep the ball away if you can.
Ty against the Mets this year, hitting .424, 3 homers, 15 RBIs in a dozen games. The former Met has been a huge pain in the side for the Mets all year. 1 out and nobody on, and Wigginton in attack mode fouls off the fastball, 0-1. Milwaukee has beaten Pittsburgh tonight 3-1. So that drops the Pirates back to .500 and keeps the Brewers no worse than 2.5 back in the wild card, depending on what the Cardinals do tonight. Cardinals are up 3-0 in the 7th over the Astros. Phillies, if they lose, would be in danger of falling 5 games back. And 5 games back with what will be 13 left to play for the Phillies would be awfully hard.
Start making tee times.
And Arizona plays later, and I know they're not a factor, but well, actually they're playing right now. They're tied with San Diego. This would put Arizona ahead of Philadelphia, so it would be another team they have to climb over. It'd be.
There's a nasty slider by Edgin to get him in front of the count on Wigginton. Geico Sports Night, the only show that's only New York sports. Giants with lots of injuries heading into Thursday night. Tebow getting more time, perhaps, and we'll check out all of the wild card standings on Geico Sports Night tonight after the postgame right here on SNY. Edgin ahead on Wigginton, 1-2. He struck him out. Back-to-back strikeouts for Josh Edgin, and the Phillies are down to their final out.
Slider. Got him. Little down tilt.
So the last hope for the Phillies is Chase Utley, as Edgin bids for his first save, trying to secure it for Matt Harvey. Utley is 0 for 3 tonight, a fly ball and 2 groundouts. Harvey in line for his 4th win and his final start of the year. Bobby Parnell pitched the 8th, and Edgin trying to finish off the 9th. And that slider up and in for ball 1. Mets trying to win at home for the first time in the month of September. They've lost 7 straight here at Citi Field. Their last win was August the 26th against the Astros.
Wow. We have 2 guys from the 2010 draft bookend this win.
You had to bring it up, Gary.
Harvey 1st round, Edgin 30th round.
Oh.
And a fastball strike, 1-1. Yes, I did.
I know, I understand.
Part of my job, you know.
I'm just trying to put a little levity in it.
Oh,
you just
added lots of levity.
You took the air out of my tires. That one. I didn't realize it was that long. Wow.
I didn't mean to depress you or anything.
Well, I'll survive.
1-1 to Utley. And a fly ball foul, and now the Phillies are down to their final strike. In Detroit, Miguel Cabrera's hit his 41st home run.
Wow.
Making a triple crown bid. He's now just 1 home run behind Josh Hamilton and leading in the other 2 categories. Edgin 1 strike away from his first big league save. Just off the corner. 97 from Edgin. He's a little pumped. 2-2.
Well, this appearance and the save opportunity has shown me something that Josh Edgin has no fear. Came out throwing strikes.
Showing an extra gear, too. 2-2 to Utley. Bouncing ball, foul.
Well, they have had a conversation running the entire 9 innings between Backman and Collins.
Edgin set again for the 2-2. And Utley again keeps the Phillies alive.
'10 draftee. Imagine 2008 he's watching the World Series, watching Chase Utley play a big part in that World Series, and now facing him and trying to get the final out.
Edgin, remember, grew up in Pennsylvania. Seventh pitch of the at-bat coming to Utley. And the breaking ball misses badly. Now a full count with Ryan Howard looming on deck. Phillies have had just 2 hits all night. Rollins' home run in the 1st, and Mayberry's pop fly single in the 8th. Here's a 3-2. And that is ball 4. I think. Either that or it's strike 3. I had the count at 3-2. And Bob Davidson apparently has to inform Chase Utley that that was ball 4.
That's just a locked in, I guess.
Either that or Bob wasn't sure at first. In any event, it's a 2-out walk to Utley, and it brings Howard to the plate. Couple of close pitches for Edgin in that at bat, but Utley gets aboard with the tying run. And now Howard, who has Gone 0 for 7 in this series, but is always an enormous threat. Howard tonight is at a comebacker and struck out twice. Checking in on Utley, who has 8 steals in 9 tries this year. Daniel Murphy playing deep rover back in shallow right field. Howard running even slower than usual these days on that surgically repaired Achilles. And that breaking ball had him bailing out, 0-1.
That's nasty when you can throw right at the hitter and bend it over the middle. That's a good pitch on the first strike. You don't want to throw another one like that.
Precisely. You stay in on that and you keep your shoulder in. That's the one you can hit at 9 miles.
David Wright playing practically behind second base. Be very happy for Ryan Howard to try and bunt for a hit. Engine with the 0-1, and Howard hits it in the air to deep right field. Back goes Hairston at the track, at the wall. It's out of here. Ryan Howard gives the Phillies the lead with a 2-out, 2-run homer in the top of the 9th. The Phillies, a desperate team with their back against the wall, rally in the 9th inning. Howard's 11th home run of the year, and it's 3-2 Philadelphia. Wow. Talk about hitting him in a big spot.
Wow, is right.
Engine was right on the edge of his first big league save. He was 1 strike away against Utley, didn't get a couple of close calls, and the Phillies take complete advantage. Howard's 2-run homer puts Philadelphia in front.
Well, we talked about what this team's record was since Howard's return. Boy, did he get that fastball. Not in enough, and he knew it. And that's off the face thing, is it not?
These are the things that happen when you're facing desperate teams. Locked into the bat by Utley, and a launching by Howard.
Just the Phillies' 3rd hit of the game, but they now lead at 3-2 in the 9th. John Roush comes out of the bullpen. Matt Harvey won't get that 4th win. Pitching change for the Mets. We'll be right back. Well, with all the life sucked out of the building, John Roush comes in to try and get the final out of the top of the 9th. Ryan Howard's 2-out, 2-run homer, giving the Phillies the lead after they were down to their final strike earlier in the inning.
Wow. What a hit. What a clutch hit.
And that sets it up for Jonathan Papelbon as Ruiz bounces it foul. Mets will have Bay, Tejada, and Murphy coming up in the bottom of the ninth against Papelbon, who got the save in the first game of the series. Well, Ruiz goes down on strikes to end the inning. But the game turns around on one big swing of the bat by one big guy. Ryan Howard clocks one off the front of the Pepsi porch. His 11th home run of the year puts the Phillies up 3-2 as we go to the bottom of the ninth. Dominic Brown moves from right field to left field as we go to the bottom of the ninth. Nate Shearholtz comes in to play right field. He'll bat ninth. And Jonathan Papelbon will bid for the save for the Phillies.
His 36th save. His high in any one season was 2008 with the Boston Red Sox when he saved 41 games.
Well, the Nats were down 6-0, and they now scored 6 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning. Michael Morris a 2-run single to tie it, and they've come all the way back to tie up the Dodgers 6-6, and they're still batting in the bottom of the 8th. How about that?
Wow.
Talk about putting a nail in the Dodgers coffin. The Dodgers looked like they were assured a split of that doubleheader, and maybe not so much now. Jordany Valdespin will be the pinch hitter for the Mets. Apparently we got some bad information on how the Mets were batting. Jason Bay came into that last inning. He was hitting in the 7 spot. The pitcher was still in the 9 hole, so Valdespin is batting for the pitcher. Valdespin, whose first big league hit was a home run against Papelbon in Philadelphia earlier in the season. Faced him the other night and fouled out to third. It'll be Valdespin, then Tejada and Murphy for the Mets. Mets led 2-1 with 2 out in the top of the 9th, but Ryan Howard's 2-run homer turned the game around. Now the Mets try and respond against Papelbon, the 6th Philadelphia pitcher of the night. And a fastball strike. Mets have lost 23 of their last 27 home games. It's almost incomprehensible That goes back to the last game before the All-Star break. They've averaged a shade over 2 runs per game in that span, and they put up exactly 2 runs tonight. If they don't get 2 runs before this game is over, it'll be their 15th straight home game not scoring more than 3 runs. Valdespin quickly in a 2-strike hole.
Oh boy, tell you what, Papelbon just threw this one, reared back and threw it by him.
Papelbon earned the save on Monday night with a 1-2-3 ninth, his 35th of the year. Not only a franchise record, but the second longest such streak in the last 40 years. And bearing down on the Mariners, who had 16 straight games at home with 3 or fewer 2 years ago. Valdespin waits that fastball away. Now the 1-2 in there for a call, strike 3. Valdespin down looking at the fastball. You better watch out.
No, he's going to get run. Bob's got a short fuse.
He's not going to take it from a rookie either.
I could tell you that. I saw that one. You don't argue with Bob.
It's not the first time that Valdespin, who's a rookie, has jawed at a home plate umpire after being called out.
Well, he missed the pitch, though. The ball's down.
It is down.
Could be outside, too. Boy, it's not as down as I thought it was when I first saw it.
It's not a strike, but it's a. What are you going to do?
So Valdespin has been struck out and thrown out.
Bob Davidson has called that pitch that is around an inch or 2 outside. A strike all night.
The third base umpire, Todd Titchener, just noticed that Valdespin didn't leave the premises, and so he says, get out of here.
That's your rookie, and we'll see you later.
Well, if you get thrown out of the game, you can't sit on the bench.
Well, right.
I mean, even if you're a rookie, you know that.
You think?
15 strikeouts for Phillies pitching tonight. That matches the most that the Mets have struck out in a game this year. Here's Tejada, who's 2 for 4, scored the first Met run back in the third. And he laces a base hit into center field. Tejada has his 3rd hit of the night. And the Mets have the tying run aboard with 1 out.
There you go, Ruben. Get back on the beam. Nice and short with that stroke. 3 nice line drives. There you go.
That gets him back up to 289 for the year. So, tying run at first base, Daniel Murphy, the batter. Murphy 1 for 3 and a walk tonight, drove in the first Met run with a 3rd inning single. And David Wright, who's homered tonight, waiting on deck. So the Mets with a chance here in the ninth. Murphy 2 for 3 in his career against Papelbon. And takes a strike. Murphy drives one toward left field. Brown playing over that way, diving, and he makes the catch.
Dominic Brown playing deep into left, and he needed to be to have any chance for that ball, and laid out to make the play for the second out.
Well, one thing about Brown, he doesn't really cover a lot of ground, and made it a lot more difficult a play. I thought it was going to be routine, but he's had some knee issues. Not moving as well as he normally does, but he makes a nice play right there.
But Gary, that was the key. The key was he was playing like a right-handed pull hitter was up and deep.
So the Mets are down to their final out, just as the Phillies were a few moments ago. Ryan Howard was able to turn it around. Let's see if David Wright can do the same for the Mets.
No, they got him shaded to the opposite field, slightly in center field. Everybody else straight up. They're guarding the lines.
Murphy, I'm sure when that ball left his bat, thought for sure he had a double. So now it's left to right. Is 1 for 4. Hit his 18th home run back in the 6th inning. And David hits a hot shot, but right to Utley, and that'll do it. The Phillies with a huge come-from-behind victory on Ryan Howard's 2-run homer with 2 out in the top of the 9th. They hand the Mets their 8th straight home loss, 24 of their last 28, and they waste a tremendous effort by Matt Harvey in his final start of the year as the Phillies win 3-2.
Well, we really thought we were going to be talking in a postgame about Matt Harvey and his great effort. Instead, we talk about the rookie Edgin and his inability to close out the 9th.
Well, 2 different tales offensively. The Phillies only left 3 men on base, only had 3 hits. 2 of those hits, the home runs, that added up to all the runs. The Mets had 9 hits, left 10 men on base, and there's your story right there. Final score 3-2.
Key of game summary. Edgin takes the loss. He was 1 strike away from a save, the first of his career. Couldn't get it. And the Phillies win it. A huge game for them as they continue their advance in the wild card race. More coming up from Citi Field in just a moment.